I've definitely learned a thing or two. Alright, back to back to this hack. Alright, we did all the rooms. We acquired the star power-up. We do not care about the star power-up and will not be using it for anything other than moderation purposes. Let us continue on to the next level. Forever Yoshi, a very attached pet. How you doing, Zuccotti? The gimmick in this level is man's best horse. This horse does, in fact, love Mario enough that he will continuously go back into Mario's space whenever you drop him. Which is an interesting mechanic, to say the least. One I have a small amount of experience with, though usually the horse explodes. That's... Been playing the Big Celeste mod that just released, been fun. Oh, is that the strawberry one? I think that the there was a shout out for that in the SMW Twitter. Continues to be one of my things I kind of regret not actually doing is finishing Celeste at any reasonable time recently. One of those things I just need to get and go do. Yep. It is a nice tile set. I actually like the diagonals a lot. Right, I remember now. Apparently I'm an idiot. No, despite remembering it, it did not actually help me actually do what I need to do. I need to ditch the Yoshi so I can do a jump there somehow, but I haven't gotten past that part yet. Abandon Yoshi! Such a simple gimmick, but it works so well. He is very attached to us, this Yoshi. Okay. Fell off a little bit too early. Just a bit too early. But... yeah. So I had an idea for a stream that I was going to do today that did not pan out, unfortunately. There's a couple of reasons it didn't pan out. One is that there was a tool that I was going to use to facilitate it that turned out to suck compared to what I thought it would. Like, it just did not do what I hoped it would. And so in order to actually make it good, I need to sit down and write some batch files. Not bash files, batch files. Dang it. And that was the biggest problem. But the second biggest problem was the one file I wanted to start with turned out to not work at all. Like, that was the one I was excited about. One that I really had a decent story about before being able to, get into the whole concept. Be like, this is one I wanted to play for a long time and couldn't because of various reasons. And, no, another various reason is because it doesn't fucking work. So... gotta figure out... well, that didn't work. Gotta figure out why that didn't work. It's possible that it was a corrupt version of the file, and so I'll need to go and find another copy, and I found at least 2 other sources of it. And I only really realized that after I got kind of bummed about it and wanted off. No. You have to despawn the horse, or else you won't die. Well played. Good timing there. So, we'll keep it in mind for another day, but today was not the right day for it. Said the man who is running into thwomps. But then I kind of looked at my timeline, like, when the hell can I actually do this? Jump on the Yoshi. Kind of shocked I never came across a QLDC level that used this gimmick, because it's a good gimmick. How? Yep, Man's Best Horse Extreme Edition. Exactly, Kappa. Exactly. So. But yeah, this next week is going to be kind of busy for me. Well, actually, not this next week. It's the week afterwards, actually. But still. Let's just be a little more careful about abusing our horse here. Okay. And then there's this part. Oh, that still kills me. Well. Okay. That's how that part works. So I guess what I need to do there is actually get the spiny and ride the spiny. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Just ride the spiny. Shouldn't take me this long to figure it out, but... c'est la vie. Shoot. Nothing broke. It's amazing. How you doing, Wergoose? Nuts. My brilliant plan fell apart there when I didn't go fast enough. This sparks joy. I'm glad it sparks joy. Nothing quite like a Yoshi riding a Yoshi, I'll be honest, in terms of aesthetics. Yep. I'm just thinking about stuff I gotta get done. You know what? I'm actually very excited about some of those things. Like, I've had a lot of fun with Shadow Man. And I'm finally at the point of the game where I'm going to get a power-up I have wanted from, like, the very first session. And Final Fantasy III, you know, I feel like I'm kind of close to the next crystal. Could be fun to see what the next set of jobs are. Like, I'm excited about the things I need to get done. And, of course, moderating this. I'm also enjoying moderating this. This is a good hack. Irritatingly difficult in parts, but, you know, that's how these things go at times. I'm certain once I figure out exactly how to get past the previous part consistently, I'll be a lot happier about it. Okay. Launch the horse. Yeah, I'll be honest, I kind of lost track of what I was trying to do here. Ah. Jumping was not my, not successful. But I think I know what I need to do, I just need to sit down and do it. All there is to it is simply execution at this point. It is still standard. Standard can be difficult. Now, you all Kaizo people want to make everyone think that Kaizo is the only difficulty in existence, but there, you know, standard hard is standard hard. Standard very hard is standard very hard. It requires a certain amount of execution skill. And sometimes I have that level of execution skill, just not all the time. And some of it just eludes me, because it's a specific thing I need to do that just does not necessarily work for me. There we go. I just need to be patient there. It's not that hard. I don't know why, I see Spark Joy, I think of Spark Fun, which is a place that sells small amounts of electronics for hobbyists. When I say electronics, of course, I mean like capacitors and stuff. Only way you see it making into that part is by left riding low on that spiny. I mean, you're probably right. Like, I just need to be very careful on the and do the spiny ride, and I suspect that just sort of based upon the general tempo of this hack, that once I get it, I'll be very... that'll be the end of this section. Maybe not. I still can count that as my PB for the level, though. I, for one, am going to look forward to the task of this hack, which probably will never come out. There we go. The falling off bit is tricky to time. Let's see, what else is important that's happening? My sister's coming over next week. She's arriving on the subsequent Sunday. So I need to actually go clean out the guest room so that she's got a place to sleep. It's currently a bit of a mess between all of the, like, random cables that are just sitting around and uncategorized other things that are in there. So I'll need to go and do some hardcore cleaning. What's up, Papa How you doing? I had a question for you or Louie or someone else who's tested this. The level right before this, the not Bowser's Castle, whatever it's called, it's like Bowyer's Castle. It says there's some green doors, and I did not encounter any green doors, and my attempts to encounter green doors have so far failed. And I'm kind of curious if in your playthrough, in whatever system you were using, if you encountered the green doors that would warp you to other sub-areas. Given that the gimmick of that area was to complete all 10 rooms to get to the moon. But my attempts to acquire those green doors have failed, which has been a bit of a drag. Ah! Maybe show up after you level. Yeah, I beat the level once, at least. I get the feeling it should have shown up after I beat the level once, but they definitely didn't show up. And I looked in Lunar Magic, and I see where they're supposed to spawn, but I definitely cannot see them or interact with them. And I hate looking at Lunar Magic partway through a moderation. It's just, as a general rule, I prefer to be surprised by things. But that was one that was bugging me enough that I wanted to be sure that at least something was there. So I think I might need to find a way to test that on the SD to SNES that isn't what I'm currently doing. Because SA1 just breaks stuff. Alright. Like I said, I suspect there would be a midway right after that. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I did all 10 rooms for the moon. I just had to end up beating a couple of extra rooms. The initial rooms. To actually... Oh man, I see what he wants from me. But yeah, I had to end up having to do a couple of the first set of rooms, 1 through 3, in order to be able to get access to the other rooms, which I don't think was the intent. Well, that worked, but it didn't work. Yeah, nope. But yeah, I'm 100% on moon so far in this hack. Getting all moons, don't remember about the green doors. Okay. Maybe I'll ask Louie if I see him next, because I feel like that's something that is might in fact be mildly broken. So my current plan is to set up or to move Mario's location on the world map directly to that castle, so I can test this without too much difficulty. But I'm not going to deal with that right now. Probably in a bit or so. How? Level is totally Kaiser for you? What if it's been nerfed? I mean, it definitely kind of has that nature of. Shoot. Like, I'm trying to actually maintain my momentum when jumping off the horse to ditch the horse at just the right time. Because that part's surprisingly tight, or there's something I don't understand yet. Both things very plausible, I'll be frank. Aha! We made it. Oh, that was a pain in the ass. Oh, I'm dead. But yeah, just to do due diligence on the whole moderating thing, I need to actually guarantee that the green doors show up as stated. And I suspect there might be something wrong, but at the same time, there were pink doors earlier that worked just fine. Which is what's weirding me out about that. Like, I'm surprised that the pink doors worked and the green doors didn't, which presumably used the same ASM. Which is why I'm thinking this is more of a me problem than a SA1 incompatibility. But we'll see. Trying to think of anything else of terrible interest. Aside from my fail stream today. Oh. What can pass through the green glass door? Are you kidding me, Yoshi? Yeah, I'm wondering if this is a reference to something I'm just not aware of. It's no poison door. You know, behind the door. The poison door. Ah. Gotta shake my head. It's two irritating obstacles in a row right here. If I drop my Yoshi in just the wrong spot, I have to worry about getting him back. Poison can't go through the green glass door? Huh. So it's definitely not a poison door, is what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, green glass is generally used to prevent UV deterioration, mostly in beer and other alcoholic beverages. Because green glass is not actually all that common when you get down to it. I guess like Perrier bottles are also green. Getting worse at this section. Yep, UVs can't pass. That's, I believe, the entire point of having green glass is so that UV cannot pass, compared to transparent glasses or brown glass, which are far more common for other beverages. Like Coca-Cola has always been in clear glass when it's been in glass. I cannot believe this is the problem I'm having. Okay. Not okay. Actually, no, I wonder what actually makes green glass green. Like, there's only so many colors of glass you generally run into. I just realized how to do that part without too much difficulty, and I feel very dumb suddenly. Booze can pass through green glass? Really? Huh. Yeah, that's how you do those parts. It has to do with neutraling your velocity. Which is annoying, to say the least. Okay. Interesting things I learned recently. Been watching some Tom Scott videos recently. And I've been kind of amused at the fact that at least a couple locations that he went to film are places I've actually been. And not, like, very interesting places I've been. One of them was the Museum of Communications in Seattle, which is a very obscure museum, to say the least. It's only open about, 3 hours a week? But it is really cool if you're into phones. Especially the old school aspects of phones. It's a dumb riddle, surprised you haven't heard it before. The booze can pass through green glass bit. I must confess, that is definitely not something I'm aware of. Is it from, like, Luigi's Mansion or something? Kind of sounds like that, but... The other one was Soda Springs. It's a place in Idaho that I have actually been. Though I wouldn't have noted that the Soda Springs are the most interesting thing there, surprisingly. Because while there are these carbonated springs there, that are actually not exactly man-made, but, like, kind of man-made. The more interesting thing is there exists a combination Taco Time and A&W, which is just a combination you don't expect to see anywhere. Like, seriously, most of the people here probably haven't even heard of Taco Time as a fast food restaurant. Because it's very much endemic to Seattle. And maybe Portland. But there it was, combined with an A&W. Like, seriously, why do that? A&W isn't even that popular to begin with. But somehow there was a place where I could buy, you know, a crispy Taco Time taco in conjunction with a, you know, 20-ounce root beer. You know, I'm not complaining, but still. I'm toast. But just weird. Just a weird thing entirely. I went up there, actually, because my brother was going to go view the eclipse with his kids, and his wife, of course. And he invited me along, and so I came along. And I had some time to pass Sunday afternoon. Rear beer can pass? Interesting. I'm beginning to wonder if this is one of those puzzles where we're looking for specific attributes of words. But not Taco Time tacos. Is it double vowels? I think that's a thing that might be the case. God. Green glass door. Okay, yes. I think it's double vowels. I think that's the trick to it. Ah. Puzzle boxes can also pass. Alright, so maybe not double vowels, just double letters entirely. Okay. Yeah, green glass door entirely has double vowels, so I just kind of assumed that would be the case. Okay, what are we trying to accomplish here now? Well, I accomplished that. I feel very successful. Thank you for the GG. S is not a vowel. S is not a vowel. You're right. S is not a vowel. You're right. I read that too fast. It's almost too many fiddly bits in a row. Is spin jumping off a Yoshi a thing? Yes, it is, but you have to get onto the Yoshi while spin jumping before getting on the Yoshi. You can't spin jump off a Yoshi. Exactly. Well, I mean, you can do it like that, but you go backwards, which doesn't help. You can only spin jump off a Yoshi naturally if you've already entered the Yoshi in a spin jumping state. I looked back. I still maintain that an A&W taco time is the most ridiculous thing. But a milk emblem would be for a prize-winning cow. As I say every time I'm in the car when I see them. Those are some prize-winning cows. Why? They're outstanding in their field. Even if there's no one else in the car, I still feel mildly obligated to even make the dumbass joke. Like, I feel like I understand enough of the parts here to make this work. Except this one. I think if I want to have the Yoshi afterwards, I'm gonna have a hard fucking time. Like I said. Perfect joke. For some values of perfect. Alright, I must apologize. I gotta do that for a quick sec. I'll be right back. It's a high-ranking groaner indeed. Indeed. Alright, get on the Yoshi, drop in the pit. Fall into a weird square. I'm gonna probably blame the normal SMW engine for that one. Alright. We're back here. Nuts. Want a hot tip? Oh, do I want a hot tip? Is it jump off that thing instead of try to eat it? Because I definitely think that eating it might actually be the wrong move. Jump off, jump off. Yeah, I think jumping on it is the key thing there instead of actually eating it. Because eating it would give me a little more headroom, but I think that if I bop on it, I can actually bring the Yoshi past, which was kind of the thing I was worried about. One of those simply asking makes me think about it for a sec. Something Socratic method. No, but this all has an awful lot of, like, technique and setup. Fuck. Yep, sometimes just asking is the hottest tip of them all. It's true. Honestly, it's true. There's something that gets the old noggin jogging. Would definitely help. Force some neurons to actually move. Honestly, if that was too wide, it wouldn't actually make the puzzle any worse. Think of a different setup, though? Yeah, fair enough. I also haven't actually executed what I think is the correct solution either way. The single block Mario only. I just need to trust it. Wait. If I get hit by the thwomp, it doesn't matter. The thwomp will accelerate away from me. The Yoshi will fall down. I'll be fine. Because man's best horse. Never mind. Doesn't work. Oh, or I could just do that. That just effing works. Line up an easy ditch with Yoshi facing left. Huh. I suppose I could, but I think I can just do it with Yoshi facing right there. We'll see if that's not a consistent strat, but I get the feeling that it will work in the future. Using the weird... Oh, you mean like... that? Oh, yeah, I guess that would be a little bit easier when I'm doing. Oh, come on! Yeah, I was worried about not having enough momentum, and that's why I want to do the weird right-facing thing. But yeah, I'm definitely fine. One of those, once I've discovered a way to do it, I'm fine with having other ways that are more accessible. Reminds me of the OLDC puzzle I was trying to solve in the Castle of WTF, which I did manage to solve with Yoshi duping. Nuts. But, yeah, I'm happy to take a solution after I found a solution, a better solution after I find a solution that works. Yeah, the leftward velocity solves that, doesn't it? Shoot. Felt frustrated with that one. That spiny there used to be 2 spinies for some reason. Probably to make the whole thing a bit tighter, honestly. I think the thing that would probably make this hack a lot better would be judicious use of the retry patch in certain stages. Especially ones where, like, there isn't any reason not to. Like, this stage, basically, you are going to die. And no amount of bringing in, like, a cape or anything is going to make a difference. Like, this is just how this level's going to work. Oh, I bet it was tight. But I think that when you start adding retry patch, an awful lot of people probably start thinking, oh, this is Kaizo, because there's not too many non-Kaizo games, or non-Kaizo hacks that actually use the retry patch. I keep thinking I can do that. There's sort of a guilt by association, even though, you know, it was initially made, I believe, for the jump hacks, which are not explicitly Kaizo. They certainly have Kaizo elements. Won't spoil, but you're making it hard for me. Oh my. Oh my. Yeah, that's a lot easier if you just think about how the backward spin thing works. I just need to drop that critter and make sure it stays dropped to get past that point. Like, I'm not even mad that that happened because I screwed up the Yoshi jump to begin with. Things could have been a lot worse. A lot worse. Alright, now what are we doing? Alright, okay. Nuts. Alright, so I see what I have to do there. This is definitely not one of the easier levels in this hack so far. I've got to jump on the thing a little bit earlier. I'm really hoping there's not that much more here, honestly. Had enough of man's best horse. Alright. Okay. What do you want from me now? Oh. I understand. And I hate it. What? What's up, Para? How you doing? Hybrid Font Music. What's the best place to learn programming? It's a valid question. A tricky one at best. How you doing? Beneath Piano? It depends on what kind of program you want to learn, I suppose. If you're looking to just learn some Python, I would highly recommend going to any number of decent Python sites. I learned Python by code golfing, which is probably not the best way to do it. But there's an awful lot of options. There's always SICP, which you could do a lot worse than learning the classics from a Lisp-centered perspective. If you really want something more directed, but not necessarily want to pay money, you can always go to a non-trivial number of college websites. They have projects and whatnot to learn in various languages. That's Code Academy. Yeah, that's fair. Like, if you go to the University of Washington instructional websites, you'll find, like, projects and stuff to do if you are honestly interested. The benefit, of course, of going to a college and that kind of thing is getting instruction from people who actually know what they're doing, who can tell you that you're doing it wrong, but that is, of course, not free, so... Okay. Back to here. I see. I see, and I think I hate this. What am I looking at here? Need to bring my Yoshis up. Okay. apparently I'm clever enough to beat that. Holy cow. Yeah, give me that. Alright, there's a moon here. Oh. Progress. $400 billion dead Yoshis. What about learning to program versus ChatGPT in 10 years? That's a hard one. I don't know exactly how that's going to end. To be completely frank, I don't know exactly how it's going to end at all. Oh no, I need to... It's very possible that we'll eventually have the AI singularity that will obsolete programmers and all that forever, but I'm not holding my breath right now. As much fun as people are having with ChatGPT, it isn't necessarily going to solve all problems in the future. There's always been sort of the dream in computer science of a language where you can sort of naturally describe your problem and just get a solution. But pretty sad career path. I mean, I'm a professional programmer. I don't know how it's going to end in 10 years. But neither did the buggy whip makers or anything else. Some related, you know, there's a whip tutorial on SMW Central how to get started learning ASM. Is that a good read? I do not know. I've never read it. When I have done ASM for 6502.816, I'll be honest, I know enough about assembly from other assemblies that I can kind of just use the docs that explain what the instructions do and go from there. So for instance, I had a grounding in both MIPS and x86 64 before I even started doing SMW hacking. Any of it. So Tom Scott tried to get ChatGPT, got mixed results. Yeah, I saw the video. I haven't actually watched it yet. I keep jumping now. I need to stop jumping. But it is definitely a, yeah, it's a thing. Try to get to right code from. So yeah, I think some people tried this year to get the ChatGPT to do their advent of code for them. And I understand that it solved the first few problems okay. Let's say the first, like, 3 or 4. But I don't think it ultimately resulted in, like, fast solutions for later problems, which get a lot hairier. What's up, Sucker Friend? How you doing? We're talking about programming and dying to Yoshis. But mostly programming. Oh. Well, thank you for the follow. That message box has nothing to do with that. Ow. Usually when I'm doing this, it pops up a message box saying, thank you for the follow, enjoy your fish. But the message box system in this hack is slightly different, and as such, it does not entirely work. Okay. I think it's just telling me if I just kind of... Yeah, that just works. Tom's output was worryingly close to what he wanted, but had a lot of mistakes. Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, I'm kind of curious how it's going to change creative endeavors, because, to be frank, an awful lot of the output of a non-trivial number of people of creative output for non-trivial number of people, is very, very specific commissions. And if ChatGPT and other such AI things can provide adequate versions of these commissions, it's a bit worrisome as to what those people who fulfill those commissions will act, whether or not they'll still be able to pay the rent, I suppose. An example that I can only bring up because I happen to see it in like NeoCity's most recent updated website is there's a guy out there who really likes the combination of Toho and Totally Spies to the point where he made an entire website about how much he loves those things together. But of course, he also finances, he actually makes commission, he actually pays for commissions for these things. If he can get that kind of material that he wants out of that without having to pay for it, why would he? It's kind of an interesting issue. I need to wedge the Yoshi in that exact spot, so. As an artist, the recent explosion in AI technology got me very concerned, but you're not abandoning hope just yet. Definitely. These are questions you push out of your head. Totally spies. The website's close enough to that, disturbingly close enough to that, that I think you may have already seen it. Stuff like Dolly can output some good art, but lacks the skills needed to replace artists. That's the thing, though, is that depending upon what the people are commissioning things are expecting, that's might just be good enough. And that's where things get scary. I vaguely remember it being decent when I was a child, but I'll be frank, I don't remember enough about it to say it was a good or bad cartoon. It was just a bit past the time where I was watching a lot of cartoons, because I was just old enough that that was not in my purview as much as it would have been. Was actually thinking a bit about that recently. Was trying to remember why. I do with Barney. Ah, okay. Like a cheesy James Bond? Yeah. It won't replace them entirely, but it will replace some of the opportunities. Oh, definitely. I think that the people who have low enough bars, and let's be honest, if you've seen a decent amount of internet fan art, even though the bars for some people are quite low. Maybe there's a better way to do this. Didn't see a single episode too old enough to drink watching it. Oh, fair enough. I mean, there were an awful lot of, like, decent James Bond things in that same sort of genre. I remember there being, like, a, what, like, Kid James Bond cartoon show back in the day? I think it might have literally been, like, called Young James Bond. They also had, like, Young Indiana Jones. I don't like this obstacle. But I'm very glad it's right up front. Only fun output you've seen is it returns pro-vegan messages. Oh, that's unfortunate. There we go. Waiting for Dolly to draw a human with a normal amount of fingers. I think it's happening sooner than you think. Stable Diffusion, I think, has gotten a lot better. It's one of those, like, once people realized it was a problem, they started putting some work into figuring out how to train it to know fingers. So. Pro-vegan messages. Like, carrots are pretty tasty? Honestly, I kind of wish these things would just blow up Yoshi instead of killing me. No, hands are totally fucking hard. No, I totally agree with you. That's one of those things you can often see with artists is you can kind of judge how good they are to some extent by how well they draw hands and feet. Because hands and feet look fucking weird. Even, like, staring at my own feet, I'm like, man, those things look fucking weird. Like, you think that the ducks might have gotten it right. I think I'm hosed on this go. So. Used AI art in a ROM hack, so you're part of the problem? Oh, definitely. Can't see anyone feeding in anti-vegan messages. I mean, I could see people doing that, but people do all sorts of crazy stuff. Stance has always been it's not about these programs are a problem. It's we live in a system that uses art as a commodity that doesn't allow art to be replaceable. Yeah. No, I need to let him fall through. I mean, sort of, the problem comes down to is whether or not art is worth paying for, and that's where things get really hairy. And sort of the nature of an awful lot of art begs that question is, would you pay for this art if you actually cared about it? I'm a firm believer in paying people for their art, you know, if I'm enjoying it. Like, I go to actual art galleries and look at art, but I still kind of hate the art in them sometimes. But an awful lot of things, like, certainly, for instance, like this stream, most people don't pay for this stream. Is this art? Doesn't matter. Patrons. Patrons are a good thing. It could be a good tool for artists to use, but trying to bypass artists entirely is problematic. Yeah. Well, especially because an awful lot of them are trained on specific specific artists. Like saying you want to have a style that's similar to an existing person is definitely something that's not ideal. Because we all kind of know these things are trained on existing sources like Danbaru or other furry burus or other image sources. So one of the reasons I like paying artists directly when I enjoy their art is because at least I know they're getting it that way. It's harder to prove when art is being consumed indirectly. Alright. Kind of consistent there. Okay, square me up. What am I looking for here? Not that. Not that. Want to think technologies are cool as a tool to help artists, but you know that's not what most tech bros have in mind? No. Legit question of whether or not AI art trained on artists owes royalties. I mean, I think the answer is pretty clear, is if you can prove that it was inspired by that, you probably are owed royalties based upon prior art. My personal favorite example of this is there's a lawsuit that was done against John Fogerty, I think John Fogerty of CCR, for sounding too much like John Fogerty of CCR when he decided to go on and do his own solo stuff. And so if we're going to argue like sampling is enough to justify, and of course there's also other issues like the lawsuit against The Verve. Bittersweet Symphony sampled a relatively small part of a Rolling Stones song. And the ruling was that in fact they owed the money, the royalties made off of that, to the Rolling Stones. So if we're going to make an argument from a legal perspective. Oh. That wasn't as brilliant of a plan as I thought it was. If we're going to make an argument from that legal perspective, then we have to respect the prior art that came before it, which is, or precedent that came before it, which does not help us a whole lot in that domain. But makes it rather clear that that level of inspiration is probably indicative of being worthy of getting some level of royalties. Don't generally think that's cool or good, but when art is really close to the same, you get ethical tingles? Yeah. No, it is definitely a difficult question, and we're going to have a lot more difficult questions in the years to come with this kind of thing. Is the best that I can do there, because I'm not a lawyer, nor am I terribly invested in this. I used DALL-E like all of twice. And I'll be frank, the question I asked, the thing I asked it for was pretty silly. I asked it to make me a YouTube thumbnail, and I didn't even end up using it. But the speed of development for this kind of stuff is increasing just because it's feasible to run it outside of the large enclaves where people initially thought it would sort of remain. Like, you don't need DALL-E if you're using Stable Diffusion. Okay, how am I gonna pull this off? Too early. Mini DALL-E for a bit of fun? Yeah, Mini DALL-E was a lot of fun just because you didn't have to pay for it. And the results were definitely a lot more chaotic than DALL-E's and later Stable Diffusions. How you doing, Matt? We are talking AI for some reason. While I slowly and painfully get past this Yoshi level. Okay, I have to ditch the Yoshi. Do I have a second shot of this? No, it's 5 tall. Space Glam is using everything. Midjourney, he loves that stuff. I feel like with AI, it's easier to cry foul. As you imagine a court of law, the AI party would need to cough up the training data to see if the artist is part of it. I mean, Discovery, they probably would have to do it. They'd have to definitely cough up that information if they were so deposed. If there's anything I've learned about the legal system is you don't piss off judges. They can make your life truly unpleasant. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting bit of time before we figure out how all this stuff really fits in. And, you know, I've seen more optimistic uses. One of my one of those people I follow on Twitter because I realized they still existed is Seth Abel, the guy who made Legend of the Red Dragon and a couple other BBS door games from back in the day. And he actually rigged up like a couple of interactive fiction things to one of these image generators to provide scenes of like Zork 1 and stuff, which is, you know, an interesting use of this kind of thing. Because they have very descriptive scenes, it's kind of nice to actually, you know, see them. Okay, this part here, I think I have to jump off of the spiny as it's going up. So. Or I need to ditch the Yoshi when it can go through the yellow blocks. So. Some level indie games make a great application. Yeah, no, certainly. It's definitely cheaper and more reasonable than paying someone full-time for art, especially because it's difficult to necessarily communicate the art you want and find an artist who can produce that style of art. Compared to AI, where you can kind of do infinite fine-tuning without pissing anybody off. Tom Scott made a good point. We don't know how far this technology is going to develop. It's hard to know how far up the curve you're going to go with it. Yeah. No, at this point, it's basically impossible to know. At no point in time was that the set of moves I needed to make. I can only roll my eyes so much at my own gameplay. I'm looking forward to the next level. I think I'm very much done with this. How long until someone makes a AI-generated Mario hack? I want to say, oh, what's his name? ISO Freeze has been working on that. Trying to create sort of a Mario, some Mario levels based off Markov chains. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've considered doing similar things. Because you could easily, like, MWLs are not that hard to parse. You know, provided they're in the same version, whatever. I did a little bit of that with the Mario RPG, Super Mario World Mario RPG crossover randomizer. So you could easily pull out like OLDC levels and figure out how to make Markov chain sort of levels after them. And I think ISO Freeze has worked in that direction, but I'll be honest, I don't remember how far they got. You may better know this person by their other name, Retro Game Mechanics Explained. But Jump Team, you choose Jump Team as training data. I think the Jump Team uses enough interesting gimmicks that you could not necessarily just get away with that. Like, that's kind of the key thing to it is gimmicks and setups make a huge difference in terms of training compared to just rompy levels. Like, this level, aside from the man's best horse, still requires a certain amount of creativity and understanding how the setups will work. Well, that probably wasn't the correct solution. But you know what? I'm not going to complain. Okay. I was wondering what the trick was. I knew there had to be an evil trick there. Oh god, that took forever. Oh, that took an hour. Did I play the randomizer level? I do not believe I did. I didn't play that. I mean, I played about, what, 15-ish? I need to go through and process them on YouTube. I'm actually running low on YouTube videos. Here's what an AI-generated Kaizo would look like, because Kaizo is very specific. I think it would look kind of lousy, honestly. I don't think that a level creator would necessarily an AI-based level designer would necessarily understand what makes a Kaizo level good. It's possible. I don't know what this level's called, and I'm actually kind of terrified at this point. I like the music track, though. Why are they changing colors? Oh no. Just shell jumps. Nothing but shell jumps. Flashing Disco Monument. Raving all night. There we go. They see me raving. That's so Raven. This reminds me of an album I think I actually own a physical copy of. Running All Night. By DJ Sharpnel. Yeah, I think you would definitely need to, if you're going to do that kind of AI generation, have a high amount of, like, user-based reinforcement or de-enforcement, or whatever the correct term is. Like, if I was going to try to make an AI-generated level and submit it to, like, a level design contest, I'm fairly certain what I'd need to do is play the level a non-trivial number of times to make sure it actually works. And sort of reinforce it on, is that a good level, is that a bad level? And do some rating stuff. I think that's what you'd have to do to train an AI to make good levels. Is certainly give it reinforcement. Because I don't think you could just simply throw existing solutions like ChatGPT at that specific problem without that. The line between it kind of works and it totally doesn't is just too far. Like rompy levels, sure, whatever. The average rompy level has almost nothing terribly interesting in it, and so it doesn't matter. But, that being said, could you die more? Please make you feel better. I'll try. Hallelujah. I'll try. Don't know if an AI could learn the physics from training data. I think it probably could, but we need to include the right kind of training data, right? We need to also include gameplay data about the levels that it would be learning from. If you're interested in such things, I would highly recommend looking up Play Fun by Tom Seven, which is an attempt to teach an AI to play video games in a very naive way, but using memory ordering. Basic idea being that some memory addresses are more important than other ones. And so if you can teach the AI which ones are important, it will try to optimize... That's a fireball. Based upon those specific addresses. And certain things that are important in Mario 1, for instance, your score, the current level numbers, how far you are to the right side of the screen, of the right side of the level. And so using those sorts of heuristics, he built an AI that kind of works, but it does require human input to work because it doesn't understand how to play the game otherwise. Infinitely high processing, you could have a GAN where the detector... probably... yeah, Play Fun. Or just look up Tom 7. Tom numeral 7. Train on response world, nothing else. You know? Honestly, I still think someone could probably do pretty good in one of these level design contests. Maybe not like top 10, but top something with a interestingly designed AI level. I want to say... Daiso tried something like that for Overworld level design or the Overworld design contest last year. I mean, the problem, of course, with Overworld design contest is Dev Azure joint enters those, and him and his partner, I think he had Kevin as partner, are really damn good at Overworlds. I was considering like entering the Overworld contest and having one Overworld was just literally a picture of a can of Spam, but I never quite get far enough in my shitpost ambitions for level design contests. Though I swear, next QLDC, I'm going to sit down and write the stuff I need to make my ridiculously shitposty level work. Hey, look! I managed to get past... Oh, God, no. No! You were so many better colors! One day. Like, I actually had a really good idea. I had two ideas for QLDC, which I'm not going to share because at least one of them will eventually become an actual QLDC level, maybe next year. Who says it needs to work? This one actually would have required... the good version would have required a substantial amount of infrastructure work. And in fact, I kind of made a bad decision with trying to make the lamer version work. The problem there was I decided to use mode 7 instead of something more sensible. I could have made it work, probably could have made it work with a easier mode to work in. But I was having trouble getting my mode 7 stuff working. Especially with how I imagined it working, and I really was very firm on that. If I couldn't get it to work the way I wanted to, I just didn't want to do it. I swear I pressed jump. I don't mind the disco shells, but man, do I hate the hammer bros. Also, the idea I had would be a little bit intrusive for judges, and so also on my list of things was to create a mildly less intrusive version, so that they wouldn't have to worry about a specific issue. But I figured I could talk to Amper and figure out that particular problem if and the time came. Yeah, mode 7. I kind of felt I wanted to do it in mode 7. I don't think it was a good idea. And I probably should have just asked Donut why my mode 7 shit wasn't working. But I have a certain amount of pride when it comes to programming and figuring out things on my own. Not to mention, this was just before MESN 2 came out for macOS. Now that it works on macOS, I am more likely to work on projects. Come on. Because my prior workflow was nightmarish. Using the older version of MESN on Windows, where I just need to keep copying over files in unfun ways. All right, there we go. See, he was just about to throw a boomerang, and I would have been safe, and then he decided, no, I'm going to throw a hammer at you. I don't like these hammer bros. Something oddly unpredictable about them. Like, I think I just need to wait at the feet of each one, which is not something I really want to do. I probably should also stop running into these two damn shells at the beginning of every life, because it's also a tremendous waste of time. Nope. See, it skips them sometimes. I can't trust what I'm seeing. Came in on the Yoshi level and thought the sprite was theming, but now you remember. Yes, it's my script stuff. We actually went through two so far. We went to Boone and then to this Yoshi. Thankfully it hasn't broken anything. Having a little bit of trouble with my scripting stuff with this specific hack. But so far it's working. It's cooperating today. Also my list of things to debug and figure out why that was having problems. Just didn't happen because I've been busy with other nonsense. Yes, we're past him. Oh, I panicked. Oh, and my script broke at some point. I don't know why. Usually it maintains through SA1 a lot better, but this game, I don't know if it's using an older version or something. The interface breaks occasionally, I just have to fix it. So I'll probably, assuming this doesn't result in the midway, go and fix the interface. Alright. let's fix the interface. Takes a second. Gives me a short handbrake anyway. I probably should try the newer version. There's a much newer version of the firmware that has fixed an SA1 performance issue. Oh, that was Steven, right? Oh, right. There we go. Yeah, I should try out the new version, see if it's changed the interface any. I've just been lazy. I'm still using Red Guy's old USB stuff on this one specific card. I get the feeling it is definitely not helping me for certain things. And since Ikari's actually doing active development, I probably should, you know, test on the more recent versions and send bug reports when things break. Well, closer. There was a bug report I probably should have done, which was that trying to do anything with USB and MSU1 actually resulted in the entire card crashing horrifically. And I never got around to reporting that because I really wanted to have like a minimal case. A minimal test case to send over to him, because like when you're trying to do repro stuff as a programmer, it really sucks when someone sends you a repro that's like 28 steps long. I really want to be able to say, just look, load up this hack and issue a USB info command. And that should actually work. Well, it should fail horrifically, which is how a repro works. I was feeling good about that jump until I jumped into that boomerang. Yeah, I think this is two levels whose gimmicks I don't particularly care for are in a row. I don't mind the disco shells, but the rapidly switching hammer bros I'm not a fan of. Especially because I think they skip steps. Like that guy. He was so going to throw a hammer at my face. This world is where it picks up. Fair enough. Out of curiosity, how good are you with strategy RPGs? I like to think I'm pretty decent, but I mean, I haven't played one in a while. I'm trying to remember the last one I played. But in general, not terrible. I was decent at Final Fantasy Tactics. How you doing, Danik? Welcome on in. We're just currently banging our head against a wall. Admittedly a different wall than a few minutes ago, but, you know, still a wall. But yeah, I have not, like, actually exercised that specific ability for quite some time. But I can generally think things through, so maybe I'd still be good at them. Ah! If they don't Hammer Brothers in them, I'll probably do a lot better. That's my guess. This is probably the best run I've had so far up to this point. I meant to jump instead of go through him, but you know, we'll take what we get. Maybe not. I'm trying to think of any other strategy RPG that I've played in a while. Coming up unfortunately empty. Yeah, let's go with I like to think I'm good at them, but I have no good evidence that I am. I'm still weirded out by the fact that these guys occasionally skip cycles. Like, look at that. He was really about... Why do I think that was going to work? Because the game you redeemed will likely do, give me a run for my money. Time for Fire Emblem Iron Man. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I've never actually played any of the Fire Emblem games. I'm vaguely aware of some of the things required. I also remember there being a... why am I so bad at getting through that spot now? A Fire Emblem run that was... had to be canceled partway through one of the GDQs. Including, of course, the guy who dressed up as a Toho character. Which was pretty entertaining. But there's a certain amount of, like, bad luck if your, like, main character dies in a Fire Emblem game. You're basically kind of fucked, speedrun-wise. It's pretty dang hard? Okay. Well, I've got good or bad news, depending upon your perspective, about that. It'll be a bit before I get to it. Like, I think, in the grand scheme of things, I probably have, like, at least two more streams of both. Okay. Of both Shadow Man and Final Fantasy III before I'm going to finish those. Which then only means I can get started on the other requests for that. I feel very lucky with what just happened. Okay. I am praying for Midway. You know what? This works too. I'll take it. I'll take it. Get P speed. And I suddenly saw that square. And it's dark now. That's a gimmick I really enjoy and appreciate. Not being able to see what's about to hit me. Like I said, I really appreciate and enjoy this gimmick. This is not causing me internal screaming or anything. Ah. Nope. Third house, no rush, just asking curiosity because you're playing Engage and holy heck, one chapter made you sweat. Interesting background for a level that's really dependent on sprite solid blocks. Yup. No, I am not liking this level. In part because the combination of things is just kind of painful. Like, I generally don't mind disco shells, but we're including an awful lot of RNG with how well I'm going to be able to get past the Hammer Bros. It's very much depending upon what they're going to do, and I have no real control over it. And just in general, I absolutely hate dark levels. Like, there's sometimes a dark level kind of makes narrative sense, but very rarely does it make gameplay sense. Like, Bowser's Castle is about what I'm willing to give for SMW in terms of dark levels. And even then, that level's not all that much fun. That little bit there where it's dark as all hell and you gotta figure out where you're going. No, it's not much fun because it costs the game to lag. Like, even with SA1 Fast ROM, like, it's not fun. It does not make the level better. It just is. It's just there, man. Alright. At least I'm getting better at that part. Alright. And now it's dark. I have this vague feeling that the, Ow! The moon was further to the right there. That's how that sentence ends. I do love making the blocks kill each other, or the shells kill each other, though. Like, again, I don't trust these guys. I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, seriously. These are the least trustworthy bros I've ever seen. And there goes my brilliant plan. And there goes the other half of it. Alack and alas. It's also a really long section with no checkpoints. Where are you going? We don't need bro codes. Don't know why, but I just kind of imagine that's what we used to call, like, cheat codes. Dude, you got the bro code for it? Okay. I don't know why I'm breathing a sigh of relief, but I think it's because there's a mushroom right here. And as such, I have a little more latitude to work within the system here. Up. I still get the vague feeling there's something off to the left right there, but I don't really want to explore it right now. Where'd the disco shell go? I'm being very careful now. Okay. Thought occurs. Yep. Oh, I was right. I'm not good at disco shell riding. Or at least progress of a stripe has been made. Right, this is how I just see that there was a disco... there's a mushroom thing up there. This kind of hurts to watch. Oh, how bad I am at it? Or just the, Yeah, that's probably it. How bad? That's probably it. Oh, that's what you have for looking away for a second. The colors in the dark. Okay. Fair enough. Physically hurts? Yeah, it kind of does. How you doing, Revolt Cat Falls? I got the moon. The moon belongs to America. I'm just gonna die here until I get my health back. Yeah, one of those things I kind of wonder if it'll be taken into massive amounts of consideration in the future is how a given level or thing just generally looks on stream. Because, like, there's certainly a decent amount of parts of games that look terrible if streamed. Like, there's a room in Fez, for instance, that does not compress well at all because it's built of RNG bullshit. It's a really cool room the first time you see it, of course. It has really good music. But it's built of RNG bullshit, and as such does not compress well using current compression codecs. Assuming, you know, there will ever be good compression codecs for that kind of crap. So... watch you fail that far into a level without a checkpoint is also emotionally hurts. I get the feeling the checkpoint is close. Like, so far, Yogui has been reasonable with his checkpoint placements. Just need to be careful and remember where everything that's going to murder me is. Yeah, okay, well, at least some of where the things that are going to murder me are. Ow. I get the feeling the midway orb is, like, up there. Up to the left, somewhere. Of that location. I even saw that spawn. Alright. Have a quick break for your eyes. I will be... need a quick stand-up stretch break. I'll be right back. Alright. I'm feeling optimistic now. Very optimistic. Ridiculously optimistic. Okay, maybe not that optimistic, but, you know, fairly optimistic. I've said it in a few other streams. I'm looking forward to, like, getting further into my queue. There's an awful lot of games in that queue that I'm looking forward to playing. Not to say I'm not enjoying Shadow Man and Mario 3. Final Fantasy 3. But there's just an awful lot of stuff in there that I'm looking forward to playing because I never played it, you know, back as a kid. And I remember hearing about it, like Baldur's Gate. Or just never having experienced it at all, like Fire Emblem. But we'll see how long it takes to get to the bottom of that. I think I mentioned a while ago, like, just taking a week off and trying to blitz through it. And that might just be what I have to do. Find, like, a good 3-4 day weekend. And go for it. One where I don't think I have any major obligations. Did I finish Shadow Man? Not yet. I just got to the Fire Temple, where I'll get the thing that lets me walk in lava, which I'm looking forward to the most of all upgrades in Shadow Man. I think it's probably going to take another stream or two to finish Shadow Man, just because of, like, how far I'm into it. I think they kind of, well... N64 games forward kind of calibrate themselves to be longer epics, honestly. Like, I could easily beat a Super Nintendo Final Fantasy in a relatively short amount of time. But Final Fantasy VII ain't short. Still can't level. Nope. We're getting close. Between the book telling me that the object of which thing will let me walk in lava, and the map telling me that I can acquire it in the following area, I am looking forward to it. I'm certain that will unlock in a non-trivial number of heart containers / shadow / Dark Souls. Which I think is really the limiting factor, that you have to get so many Dark Souls to actually complete the game. Like the part where I'm standing in front of, roughly, right before the fire tower, or the fire escape. There we go. Has a bunch of gates, and it's like 7 or 8. 7, 8, and 9, I think, in terms of the number of the soul power I need for them, and so it's not a small amount of soul power. Playing Link Between Worlds, I presume that's a Zelda game. Alright, up there. I walked on that shell, that egg. Right, I was gonna get hit by this thing anyway. Probably. Alright, here we go. We're in new territory now. There's a disco shell that's gonna try and jump on me. Oh, and the level ends. Oh, so I wasn't that far away. Oh man, that was a long single segment level. That wasn't a red dot, was it? That better not have been a red dot. It's a fucking red dot. Where the hell could there be an exit? I got the moon. I definitely got the moon. Zelda 3DS, yeah. This one with the 3DS is based on Link to the Past. It's really good. Okay. Thank you for the GGs. And yes, I got the moon. I got the moon because I was like, I felt there was something off with that one disco shell that had a unlimited amount of space to work. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, there has to be something here. Like, my secret finding skills are still pretty decent. There's one other spot where I was like, I'm suspicious of what's going on here. And so we're going to check that out first before we move along. Because if I'm right, it'll be right there. Because there was a spot where I thought the moon might be. And it wasn't, because I found the moon like a minute later. There we go. And it was, not right here, but fairly close to here. Of course, after all this nonsense, I've actually gotten very good at getting through this area. No! Oh, this is fine. Can't kill disco shells with these, but I can kill fire... Oh, never mind. What's the point of being a Fire Mario if you can't even kill some bros? Maybe even the ones... Oh, crap. Before the pipe leads to the dark area. That was my assumption, actually, was that it was in that area right before that pipe. That was my initial guess. Like, over here, brave jump. Or not. Maybe I jumped too bravely. Maybe it was a lot closer than I thought. But, like, that's where a very big and empty spot is in this level. Like, I killed this. I did kill that. I killed that too! Hooray! And then I completely spaced. You rode eggs everywhere? Oh, okay, I understand now. Yeah, I guess that is a useful option, and in fact is probably, now that you've said that, I think I know what the secret is. I'm like 80% sure I know what the secret is now. Dear Lord. Well, it's not just trying to be smart here. I think Kawaluta gave me a very subtle hint there. Because I didn't consider the fact that these egg throwers, you know, Aliberto, could actually be useful to me. I thought they were weird. But since they can throw eggs, that means that they can provide transport as well. And that specific spot where I'm thinking, huh, that's interesting, has access via egg transport. So to spoil, didn't mean to. You know what? I probably would have taken a lot fucking longer to figure that out than I probably would have wanted to otherwise. I did not even consider the idea of egg transport. And plus, I'm perfectly happy to leave this level as soon as I can. For various reasons. Both obvious and un. You considered it still took a long time? Oh my. I just need to not fall down and not get hit there. Or here. Actually asked Yogui where the moon was? Oh, so was it in the same spot that I found it? Where it was to the left of that disco shell at the very top of the dark area then? Because that's where I found it. It was definitely a, I think there could be something hidden here moment. I'm ready for some predictable enemies. Don't remember where anything is. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm just ready for enemies where I don't have to make weird assumptions about what they're going to do. Like, I cannot make assumptions about what any given bro is going to do in this level, because even if it worked one way the time before, the spawn's going to be different this time. And so now this bro is going to throw an egg instead of... well, okay, that was my fault. No! But yeah. Why do I even try that? It doesn't work. I know it doesn't work. That used to work. At least I think it used to work. I'm gonna be honest though, levels like this make me want to categorize this as very hard just because it's an awful long time between here and there. And you have to get an awful lot of things done. And you have very little control over how those things happen because, you know, Hammer Bro cycling. Definitely makes me want to consider throwing this up to very hard, because I don't, you know, I'm gonna be honest, I think this is a harder hack than Mice, and Mice is already in very hard. Like, I'm not really tempted to throw a Kaizo tag on this right now, but I do think it might be reasonable to reevaluate its standard difficulty at some point in the near future. Just because of some of the very long levels. That's... yeah, Mice is very hard. Like, my general scaling, and I don't know if this is one of those things anyone agrees with, is standard normal is approximately how hard normal Super Mario World is. approximately. Easy is not more difficult than, like, Yoshi's Island levels. And then hard and very hard are a lot harder to classify, to some extent. But basically, if you can easily beat those, you got those. And of course, very hard is kind of a giant bucket of things, because it goes all the way between mice and, like, those absurdly long, like, all the way from mice to Hyper 6. Because Hyper 6 is merely very hard. There's no category explicitly for Hyper 6. Was refereed the first time, and that wouldn't be so bad. I mean, that's true. But take a moment and ask yourself, is this easier or harder than mice? And I think mice is adequately categorized. I think that what mice asks of the player in many places is reasonable to put into very hard. But this gets harder than mice? Yeah. That I'm not surprised to hear. That part you just have to trust. Just have to trust. Okay. Riding on an egg. Yoshi riding on an egg. Hunt. Not as hard as Method Man, though. Few things are. Few things are. Alright, what do we got here? Well, good thing there's a midway that I need to test. Otherwise, that would have been dumb to die right there. God, Myth of Mana is its own thing. That is an Omni level. Oh, I hate this. Alright, so we have Disco Shell riding in conjunction with these irritating Hammer Bros. That's what this level's about. I'm just kind of actually hoping that I can get through a non-trivial chunk of this without actually having to need the cape. Nope. Curtis played it as his first foray into standards? Really? How'd they go for him? I know Curtis excels at some very high-level glitch stuff. From, you know, having lurked in his stream a few times. So Myth of Mana might actually be right up his alley. Alright. This doesn't seem too bad so far. Oh no! Wait a second. Not oh no. Oh yeah! That's how you do it. If you don't have a cape, you're totally screwed there. But because I did, I wasn't. Up and down in my Super Mario hack level. Turns out the mid-air master can get in the standard. I'm not surprised about that. You liked it? That's good. That secret exit, that level, the secret exit was so much. Oh, hello. Okay, I understand now. I don't understand now. No, I haven't played this one yet. You know, I'm moderating it, and so... And so I'm going through this pretty linearly. Okay, I think I understand now. If I go below the purple stuff, or if I cross the purple line, it flips my gravity, I think. Confused the other day when we're talking about a reverse Kaizo. Oh man, what level was that? You're right, we were talking about that. I think there still was another reverse reverse gravity level in this. I'm just trying to remember what it was. Does not work. I think there was another one earlier that used a similar gimmick. There definitely was one that used a similar gimmick earlier. Though it didn't have, like, the midway gravity aspect that this one has. So. This is the level that references the Kaizo level. Wait, what? So it'd be the second one that references the Kaizo level. Or, yeah. Because there was another one Louis told me explicitly referenced the Kaizo level. That was in Super Butt World. If this is also in Super Butt World, then I guess that makes a sort of degree of sense. I'm still not trying to do that part yet. Yeah, there was a tower level earlier that Louis said referenced a level in Super Butt World. Possibly Super Butt World 2. Oh, well that's not that difficult. But that is. I want that moon. I can see the moon. I want that moon. I'm a deeply jealous man. And I tried pressing A. A does not work. It's not merely missing the spin jump, it's also missing the smaller jump, honestly. There we go. Up here. Dang it. I was kind of hoping I'd have enough momentum to swing that back low, but I guess not. Well, knowing the moon is like right at the start of this level, I guess I could just come back to this later if I felt so inclined. So we'll give it another couple shots. Especially ones where I don't just immediately fall off. Great jump. I see SJ's new base ROM. I think I saw there was a release about that during C3, wasn't there? Like, they did a thread on their base ROM. Now that C3 is over, of course, there's and voting is finished. It's less exciting. Ah! How do you do that? But yeah, what's in this base ROM? I'm curious. It's nuts. It has a reverse gravity story. Interesting. Yeah, this is the only thing I ended up checking out of C3 because of... I'll be honest, I didn't expect this to take forever. Gravity support. Well, I hope it's better than some of the reverse gravity stuff I've seen because it tends to be a little bit flaky. A little bit flaky. What am I doing? I have to wait there. I did this 3 times in a row. Over 800 patches. That's a lot of patches. Like, that's an absurd number of patches, honestly. Like, even taking into account, like, supporting Uber ASM or something, it's a lot of patches. This moon is going to give me a certain amount of consternation. And that time is just bad. I need to go when it ease downward, not upward. Forward, not backward. And twirling. Always twirling towards the goal orb. that's how you do that part. And now I will shut up in shame, because I immediately jumped into the sky. And I regret not doing the other level, to be frank. Okay, just chill. Just chill. I know what I'm doing wrong. Just relax. The level demands patience of me. I just need to supply it with that patience. We'll figure out what to do with that moon later. Maybe we'll figure out what to do with that moon later. Yeah, this level... is something. You know what I appreciate, though? There's a very clearly demarcated line between the bottom and top of the screen. You know exactly where you will be jumping. That will cause you your problems. I'm finding new and creative ways to die in the first two screens. Just chill. Just chill, Pat. Okay. Alright. And then very small... Okay. Trying to think of what I want to do there to make that jump. Let's say I jumped too early, but I did not there. I need to have momentum, but I also need to actually make that jump. You can't jump too high with this patch, because otherwise you fly into the ceiling. I have to think. Okay. Rock him. Right, there's blocks up there. I'd also like to note, Reverse Gravity Story would actually be a pretty good name for a hack, even if it contained no amount of reversed gravity. It would work as a good name, just saying. There we go. Reverse Gravity Story. No, it reminds me of like some sort of indie game I've seen. I feel like some amount of like Japanese indie games end in just story as their name. I guess I was thinking of Linkle Liver Story, which I don't think you'd call a Japanese indie Japanese game. It's a PlayStation or a Sega CD. Sega CD RPG. Well, not like that. I might abandon this level and go to the next one. This one is not suiting me well right now. Like, you have to do very careful jumps. Not saying you can't have that in a standard hack, just... the degree between that jump succeeds and that jump sends you careening into the sky is very small. Okay, this. Stare at that moon and wonder what could have been. Like, I'm afraid to hold jump through the entirety of that jump because I think I'm going to fail it, but maybe that just means I need to jump a little bit later? Okay. And now the chuck gate. Are we sure this isn't Kaizo? It's a good question, honestly, at this point. What's up, Bunny Link? How you doing? I found the fire temple in Shadow Man. I'm finally going to be able to walk on lava once I figure out how to get the walk on lava upgrade. I'm looking forward to that so much. I would say this is the level that so far reminds me the most of Kaizo. The other ones I could definitely kind of accept on their premises, but this one I think just requires really careful regrabs. Unless I'm misunderstanding what I'm supposed to do. Like this chuck gate, I do not know what to do with this chuck gate. And there's not a lot of leniency here between the fact that there are spikes surrounding the chuck gate and the chuck there. Yeah, I've been having fun with it, honestly. It's an interesting game, and I'm looking forward to playing some more of it, hopefully this weekend. Hoping to find the time. I need to do some severe cleaning. My sister's coming into town, and I need to get the guest room in array. Or it is quite in disarray at this point in time. Okay. Most important to you? Fair enough. I don't understand this obstacle. I mean, I still love the ridiculous overwrought narration every time you discover a new area. Just discussing whatever it is and talking about how horrific it is. Like, seriously, the edginess makes it for me. It absolutely makes it for me. Okay, Hawaluta, if you're still out there, what the fuck do I do here? Like, it's one of those, like, oh, it's an upside-down Kaizo gate. What do I do in an upside-down Kaizo gate? Like, I guess I need to, like, do a quick short hop so that he does a short hop. It's the opposite of a Kaizo gate, though. A chuck gate. Was playing Link, now you're watching? Okay. Fair enough. I'm looking at this chuck gate that is ahead of this, and I'm just a little bit confounded as to what I'm supposed to do. I'm not sure mechanically what I'm supposed to do. I've gotten enough mastery over the rest of the intro part. But, like, I want to keep jumping to prevent him from hopping, but that's not going to work long term. Oh, I just do that. Never mind. I understand most of what to do, Hawaluta. You just let him jump and then walk when he's going up, when he's moving downward. Okay, I get it. I didn't spend enough time observing the obstacle. It's simple enough. I was just frustrated for a moment. That's all there is to it. But yeah, I definitely feel this part is easier with regrabs. about to give not good advice? Oh no. No, no, you get back there. I'm trying to think of how I'm supposed to get this this moon, and the only option that I'm coming up with that's any good is to enter the stage with a cape and kind of cheese my way into it. Which I don't think is the ideal solution. But I'll spend a little more time thinking about how this mechanic works. Because, like, it's not... the purple mark is not exactly perfect. As we can see, like, the line is definitely a little fuzzier than the game indicates. Ah! Gravity shenanigans indeed. How you doing, Nathan? Was moving at a pretty good clip before these levels. Good? Excellent. Ah. Me and my Yoshi are trying to beat this level. This hack is interesting, but it's definitely taken a harder turn. Okay, don't walk into him. Something like progress is being made. Though I am kind of afraid of flying off into the sky. Or the ground. You know, one or the other. That's approximately as far as I've been in this level. I'm rather hoping this level isn't too long. Otherwise, I'm going to be at this for a while. When I picked this up, my first expectation was not, oh yes, I'm going to be doing a long moderation. It was, oh, this looks like it's going to be fun. Okay, maybe that doesn't work. I had a plan, I understood what I was going to do, and then I immediately and utterly forgot what I was going to do. Oh well. So, I don't have anything else of import. I'm out of BLDC videos on YouTube, so I actually need to sit down and get my QLDC ones processed. Okay. Oh, I hate this. Okay. I want to land on that spot where the thwimp is going to land. Never mind. Not even... I tried to get the moon several times and have come to no conclusion as how to get it without cheating. I'm provided an option which would let me get this moon. I think I could just, you know, summon myself a cape and then kind of walk off the edge. But that's definitely cheating, and so I don't want to do that yet. And whenever I try to do that jump, I don't quite jump far enough. I think I need more velocity. So, because the moon is right there at the beginning of the stage, I'm not too worried about missing it, because there's no way I'm going to forget where the moon is. This one idea I haven't considered. Yeah, that doesn't work. In retrospect, I'm glad I didn't consider that idea. But that might actually be the answer, is try to, like, land across from the thwomp. It requires velocity in going through the thwomp gate. I'm thinking. Not well, but I'm thinking. Nope. Okay. I think I pulled up at the wrong second. I think if you get P speed, you can do what you're supposed to do there, but I'm not really seeing a good way of doing it yet. Yeah, even then. That single block there kind of prevents trying to go under it, which doesn't help. Of course, the more time I spend on this, the less time I spend on the actual, level content. So, if I try to go up and over, I'll just land back upward, because... Yep, that's how that works. If I try to jump downward from here, I can't really get the diagonal I want. It's gonna bug me. I don't have a good solution to this. What if it's a lie? What if I can just walk there? What if the game is trying to trick me horrifically and there's just invisible surface there I can walk on? No. Okay, I'm out of good ideas for getting the moon. I know I can get the moon by using the power-up. Actually, no, I guess I can't, because it's a no power-up area. Okay, now I have no idea how I'm supposed to actually get this moon in practice. 2 hours later. Moon, where's the goddamn moon? At least I'll remember where it is. It's right here at the start of the level. He says he died for the 15th time at that exact same spot. Like, I'm certain I know where it is, it just doesn't help me. There's definitely a trick to it, I just don't know what it is yet. And there's enough of the level ahead of me that I probably shouldn't spend that much more time trying to figure it out. At least, without offline thinking. Just don't know what to do there. Okay. Every part of this, I find nerve-wracking. Well, it's another step in the right direction. Nuts. Like in SpongeBob with the metaphor when he searches for his own name. I must confess, I'm relatively ignorant about SpongeBob. I've watched the entirety of one episode of SpongeBob, and it was Sailor Mouth, because Nintendo highly recommended it. Yeah, I just missed SpongeBob by a little bit when growing up. And so I never really appreciated the full nature of it. You're shocked? It's one of those things where just like the right timing didn't work, right? There are certain shows and things you only watch if you have the time and inclination, and I just didn't. Like, there's certain shows I watched when I was a kid because, they were available on cable. And those without cable could not watch them because they were on cable. So, same sort of deal. Okay. Like, every setup here makes sense, I just hate all of them. You can link it? Oh yeah, go for it. I don't have, like, any link system, so just go for it. Purple, right. Didn't really appreciate SpongeBob till memes. I mean, the meme I appreciate most out of SpongeBob is definitely the N amount of time later. Which, like, every YouTuber has taken to use to do any sort of serious interlude. But it works so well. Ah, too late. I feel silly. 2 years later. Look, I've beaten a level per every hour I've been streaming. That's progress, at least. I've certainly had worse in some Kaizos. And there's certainly been other moderations where I've made less progress, honestly. Just reminds me I spent, like, what, 3 streams on the final boss of Sakari? Sakari 2. There we go. Things take time. I see you, Goal. I see you, Sphere. You know what? Whoosh! I must go. My people need me. I got it. I got 1. Nope. I even thought, no, don't ever hold A. It's 2 short clips. Okay, I just link them. I'll open them up in tabs and watch them after the fact. You would not believe how many things I have of that sort. Nope. Left open. I still have to watch the History of Orcs in Warhammer video that I was linked to a while ago. And that Yoshi video that Fry sent me. I get to these things eventually. I don't get to them quickly. Both me and the Thwimp are disappointed in that jump. But I do get to them eventually. So I just realized this was one of the Wily X Sigma castles from Mega Man X or X2, I think. It's a game I haven't played in forever. No, I can't get enough velocity there. I have to use the spring block. Alright. I have both of those open now. I guess the one exception to I eventually get around to it is the, Okay. Oh, come on! Is when I had the hard drive crash and lost a lot of my tabs. I lost some good tabs that day. But for the most part, I generally get around to these things. That bit's tricky. It's tricky. Yeah, it's tricky. That line. Like, you sometimes really need to hang there for a second to get it. And other times it feels like it happens far too easily. Nope. I keep finding new and creative ways to die here. That moon is still bugging me. still trying to figure out how I want to get that moon. Thinking about that moon. Okay, I gotta hold there. About 4 minutes till it breaks over. Ah, a shame. Well, I can just go immediately, can't I? Watch the clips now? Alright, I'll listen to one of them, I think. I did enjoy all the shredding. There was a lot of shredding. Relatable. Very relatable. There we go. Oh, that part's so much better if you just do it for a cycle. See, look, that's what SpongeBob does. It makes you think about what you're doing. And then you're suddenly mildly better at doing what you think you're supposed to be doing. I do like how the personification is aware he's a personification. And still tries to sell that he has 3 kids and that's why he should not be fired. It is a good gag. No, I need to hold B there. Like, I have to commit there to that jump. There is no halfway on that. And I'm willing to bet that the moment I land on that other one, I'm gonna be hosed anyway. Like, you absolutely have to commit twice. You only commit twice. But yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed those SpongeBob clips. Yeah, that's what I was expected to do there. What am I expected to do here? Okay, I think I need to jump up through here. Oh, that wasn't it. Squidward tells him to forget everything that's not about fine dining and breathing, and sets a metaphor for what's happening in his brain. Throw out names all the time. Wait, he's a sponge. He doesn't have to breathe. Clearly, he could have forgotten more. Clearly. I'm just reminded of the Calvin and Hobbes bit comics where it shows Calvin's inner dialogue with all of the other small Calvins in his brain. Just a bit of a classic, honestly. Good bit of comic interpolation. Is so not the right word. Probably forgot about that along with fine dining. Can I just, like, maybe make this work by running out here and praying? Later on, SpongeBob impresses everyone as a waitress. And someone asks him for his name. Ah! Okay, that explains the all hands on deck, complete fire alarm bit. Yep. Everything makes sense now. Well, maybe one day when I'm sick, I'll go and watch a bunch of SpongeBob episodes. That seems to be the only time I watch a serious amount of TV in this day and age, is whenever I'm sick. Maybe I can only get that to work once. Of course, I don't actually want to be sick. Being sick sucks, so... Knock on wood, don't really want more of that until later in life. I don't know. Don't want any of that at all. I've been sick since like October, I think. Maybe it was September. Though admittedly, whenever I'm sick, I end up eating more Indian food, and I do like Indian food. If I committed there, I would have been fine. I don't need the second bounce, I don't think. Really getting over being sick and agree that it sucks. Oh, my condolences. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. Burrow's also getting over being sick. He had strep, but he's gotten some sort of antibiotic for it, which largely solves the problem. Antibiotics, pretty awesome for the purposes they're designed for. And everybody loves a good moldy cantaloupe when it saves them. Of course, it has to be something antibiotics are actually good at solving, you know. Not all illnesses can be gotten over with antibiotics. Of course, antibiotic overuse is a problem. Mostly with animals, not people, surprisingly. Turns out feeding critters high levels of antibiotics fattens them up faster, which is kind of awful when you really think about it. One of those things. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Players explains they're all just a metaphor and doesn't exist anyway, and one of them has like one more kick like that and you're fine. Yeah, I got 3 kids. I like that that specific one explains that he's a metaphor and then tries to bullshit the 3 kids. It works well. It's a cleverly written gag. That's the thing I've learned, is that SpongeBob is a more intelligent cartoon show than I would have expected, given its general providence. And the types of people I've known to really enjoy SpongeBob. I have lost the feel for that part. Guess another reference to a similar gag. There's the bit where Bart's immune system just kind of gives up. He's like, "You better check my temperature again now." And they're like, "Oh, we've been told to stand down, men. Let the virus win. It must be a school day." Etc. That's all the time you got. All right, see you next time, Bunny Link. Hope the rest of your day is good post-break. Careful. There we go. Right, that's how you do it. Okay. I've got the feel back. I know what to do there. Just think about Indian food now. That doesn't help. I almost got Indian food today, but I kind of dithered until it was way too late and ended up just going to the local and getting some wings. They were really good wings today, though. Do enjoy some good wings. There we go. No, maybe that's not... Oh, I see how I think it wants me to do it. All good, got COVID, you're vaxxed, so it was more of a bad head cold for a day. So it's just kind of draining it. Ugh. It's boring because you don't want to do anything. Oh, wait. Well, it's good that it's not being a big problem. COVID. Yeah, I might have had that. The thing is, I just didn't bother getting tested because I'm like, what's the point? What am I going to do with this knowledge? And I would have had to, like, go and get in my car to get tested. I'm like, I don't really want to do any of that. I just want to stay home. I'm sick. So. But that's just me, man. Had the same. Yeah. Wasn't too bad when I had it. It was about a week's worth of crap. It could have been a lot worse. There we go. Okay, what I think it wants me to do is not that. If I could spin jump, that might have worked. But again, the lack of spin jump is sort of a big design constraint in this level. Okay. Wing. Okay. Yeah, that must have been a fucking miracle that I got that the first try. About to get a booster, but then you were positive and stayed a week at home. Missed the staying at home part. That is probably the best part. Had COVID just a rainy day, nose for a day or two. Oh, that's not too bad. Not too bad at all. Let's not do it that way. Apparently, whatever I did that one time that worked was probably cheese, and I have no idea why it worked. Or how to make it work again. It was very mild. Quick Googling says antibiotics lower estradiol, which aids weight gain, fat storage. Yep. Yep, it is true. Antibiotics make you fat, which is a desirable property for cows, but not necessarily most people. So, the more you know. Alright, see you later, Bunny Link. Also been craving like some really crummy Chinese food. Like orange chicken. Been debating whether or not I want to go find like some crappy takeout Chinese. Tomorrow, though, I probably am just going to have to suffer through trying to fix my sleep schedule. So I'm kind of thinking I might just try and convince myself it's not so bad by getting like the best Thai food in the area. No, I have no idea how I did that one time. Like, I don't like what I think the game is asking me to do, which is why I'm trying not to do it. But I think I don't have a choice. Oh. Yeah, that's not that bad. That was not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah, I'm not sure think of any other, like, interesting facts I know. But yeah, I've got to go over to that area anyway because I ordered a cable and I wanted it to arrive earlier than it would have arrived otherwise, and realizing now, of course, that I didn't actually care all that much. So I've got to go to an Amazon locker and pick it up from an Amazon locker. It's like a mile away from my house, which is silly. Okay. Victory! Alright, how do I get that fucking moon? Test the theory first. Nope. It does in fact remove your power-ups upon entry. Thank you, Counterbreak. Alright. Here we are, once again, back here, pondering how I get this fucking moon. I feel like I need enough velocity to do that. If I had spin jump, I'd spin jump off this platform. Nope. And of course, I can't cheese it anymore. I can't cheese it the way I did before. Hate to have to make a note to go get this moon at a later date. Wait a second. This might work. It might work. I have an idea. I don't think it's a good idea, but I think it's an idea. What if we... Not that. Okay. One more try with a different idea. Brave jump! Okay. It was a fascinating idea, but it didn't work. I kind of feel like I'm on the right track with that, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah, if you re-grab, that's... Yeah, I feel like... Oh, I feel like there's a trick here. No, I see it. I see it. I think I see it. Okay, here's what I think it is. What you do is you don't jump under the thwomp. You run over the thwomp. And then you jump around from there. And since you have velocity, unlike the other side, I have enough P... If I have P speed... Yeah, if I have P speed, I think I can curve around here. I think that's what I'm supposed to do. It's probably still kind of precise, but I think that at least makes sense. Like, as opposed to many of my other plans, this one actually is reasoned. And the level design suits it. I just need to jump. Like, that's the only reason I can think that there's this gigantic space to get P-Speed right there. Like, Yogui's design in this hack has been so deliberate that I just have to believe there's always a given solution that's nearby and makes a degree of sense. And I think this is it. It's kind of like in well-executed mystery hunts. Like, in badly executed mystery hunts with puzzles, sometimes you have to question whether or not the puzzle designer did things that made sense. In this one, I don't have to question. Like, the design here is very well done. Yeah. See, that would have worked if I'd pulled back just a bit sooner, because I was on the downswing. I think I was on the downswing. I think it was far enough to proc it, though I didn't quite make it, judging by the fact that I flew upward. But the fact is, the design here informs how you solve the puzzle. The problem, of course, being pressing B, because I'm just not very good at pressing B. Would like to push B more often, though. Yep, that was it. That was totally it. We got the moon. By Fruit, Spike, and Moon. Alright. Switch's Conundrum Obligatory Puzzle level. Oh boy, I'm excited. Retry door. Alright, so I need this. It's a double P switch. Okay, they last very short, so I shouldn't waste my time jumping off of them. Interesting. Retry door. Moon get indeed. Okay, so... a lot going on here. I'm okay just freeing him. That works for me. In fact, be free! Doesn't matter if I free them. Because what matters is freeing that. Oh, and I guess they're already dead. Huh, convenient. Alright, so cool. Now I've got the... oh, no! Well... see? Not screwed. Totally not cheesing it. Totally not cheesing it. I totally cheesed it. I'm certain I'm going to fail at some point in the near future and have to hit a reset thing, which is why I feel confident in doing this. But still. Yeah. Where did the fuzzy come from? Oh, I need a fire flower at some point. I like this. It's very pleasant. Candy Shack-ish appeal. Here is moon. I want moon. I need fire flower to get moon. You know, I'm just gonna kill this guy. Yeah, I appreciate the clever thing. I have to admit, there's an awful lot about this game and how to cheese things that I learned from Snyder. He was all about the duping. All about the duping. And so that's why I know you can do some silly things with switches and the like. This doesn't help me actually get the moon, but still. Why do I want the shell? What does the shell do for me? Oh, I need to hit the reset door at some point in the near future. Okay, I can't go back. So if I wanted to get this particular item, I need the shell to kill the green blocks. I need to be a fire flower full to get the blue blocks. Okay. Oh, I need to do the reset door. Tis my penance. And where did I leave the P-switch? I do kind of need that thing. Either way, we're gonna have to come back to the first section for the purposes of, I bet I could have done that and gotten both of those. I failed both of them. Interesting. Not stupid enough to fall for that, though. Alright, so... what do I do there? How do I get that? I mean, that's just a puzzle I'll have to puzzle out later. And of course, prove to myself that I can do that bit without resorting to horrible cheese the way I did a minute ago. Midway, check. Alright, let's find a way to die. Interesting. May have already screwed myself with that. Reset door? Okay, so it does reset the coins. That's good. I was briefly worried about that. How would this help me? Anything different? No. My P-switch jumped, and that's what matters the most. Okay. I have 5 hits of the switch. It's the fuzzy. The goal is to move the fuzzy forward. That's what I'm doing here. So the fuzzy gets stuck in the right spot, which may or may not have just happened. You got stuck in a spot, that works for me. Need to make sure the fuzzy doesn't despawn, that's the most important thing. I just realized the entire background is jigsaw puzzle pieces. Okay. In retrospect, that was a terrible idea. I don't know in what universe I'd want to go through that pipe except to hit the reset door, but never hurts to hit the reset door again. Wait. Okay. Let's explore the rest of the level now. Mistakes were made. Alright, well. What I've learned here is make sure to take out both sides of that equation. Alright, I got one more hit of this. I need 2 more hits of it. And a hit of that switch over there, which I probably needed the cape for. So, yeah, level's not long. Just have to die. Has a Wario Land feel? Wario Landy feel. I wonder if it's the puzzle piece backgrounds and the other pieces. Like, I'll be honest, I haven't played too much of the Wario Land series, so I don't have too much to like say, oh yeah, totally. So I need 3 hits for this anyway, which sucks. Let's go hit the reset door! I want to do it in 2. I feel like it might be doable in 2. Maybe. I don't think it's doable in 2. But we did it that way. I despawned the critter. I'm an idiot. There we go. That's 1. Yeah, I think it's a minimum of 3. The absolute minimum of 3. Now the question is, I have 2. I need 2 to get in there. Get reset. Oh crap! Because I killed that thing, I can't continue. I have to reset anyway. Alright, well. Maybe it's doable in 2. Like, maybe I'm wrong on this front. Maybe it's actually doable on 2. I really feel like the first thing here is teaching me that it's not doable in 2, though. Like, I think he goes about 6. That's more than 6 right there. So... I do have questions. And you have to jump on the Ninja, there's no question there. Fly, the question is really now at this point, what does this do for me? I either hit this once. Like, this feels like a troll setup, right? Because, like, how would I even get over there with the switch? I need to ditch the switch somewhere where I won't accidentally hit it. I feel like that's the first step. Like, I can get P-Speed here, which means if... I think I need Flight. I think I need Flight. Okay, that's a problem. Yeah, I need 1 more tile of height that I can get. Which I think... Ow! Okay, so I'm back to the same question I started with. Can we get this thing over here with less than 3 hits? I'm not convinced I can, but I think that's what the puzzle's telling me to do. Like, it's close if I time it right. I guess no, he doesn't get further. He gets about 6 blocks across. There must be something I'm not seeing. It's the only conclusion I can draw that's reasonable. Okay, I cannot actually make it both ways. I meant to spin. And now I'm stuck. Do I need 3 hits on the other side? I think I need 3 hits on the other side. That's the thing that's kind of throwing me for a loop right now. So, the reason I think I need 3, and I suspect this is a power down gate, not the block destroyer gate, is because I need the feather to be able to get the silver P-switch. Like, even timing this, he can move approximately 6 squares before he runs into problems, and there's 8 squares here. So, it requires 3 hits. Don't know why, but it requires 3 hits. I think it's a streamer. Oh, is Juzz on? How you doing, Fries? What if I'm thinking about this wrong? What if I need to lead the critter over here? The critter's gonna follow along the periphery here. That doesn't end up helping me. Can you spin fly this over me? Yes, I can, but I have to burn another switch, another charge of this to get the, I did it again. I didn't kill the block. I kill all the blocks except the one I need, which means I can get back up there small. Had to check. Juzz is not on. I think he's been out for a bit, like doing some traveling or something, but I don't remember. It's been a while. It's been like half a month since I've watched Juzz. Do need to go and re-up my sub because I hate not having Juzz high as an emote. But like, I think that's the most distance I can get off this critter. Wait. Oh, it wouldn't even matter. This dude's stuck around this plinth right here. So even if I did want to try to bring him forward with me, he can't actually do anything. Alright. I still want to see what happens if I do this part properly. Also, this critter's never going to escape this hole now that I look at it. They hit the one at the same time? Maybe. That's not a bad idea, actually. Let's try it. Borrow yours, the Twitch default emote. I've been using Hey Guys, which just isn't quite as good, I will be honest. Hey, yeah, that just works. You can just walk in. I way overthought that. Way overthought that. Alright, let's go get the moon. Thanks for the GGs. I don't know if you necessarily feel like I deserve them. But at least I got them. At least we beat the level. Alright. Pop that. Select switch. I understand now. I don't understand now. So I think I see what I was supposed to do. There's a certain order of operations you could do here such that the silver P-switch will nuke the other one, so you don't have to worry about your timing with the other blue switch. Yo, what's up, Wollen Vintage? How you doing? We just learned so much about timing these things. Okay, get back up here, grab this. Now if I hit this here, those guys turn into coins, which means I no longer need to worry about them being annoying. I think. And that's how you do that properly. Which I didn't do last time, because I didn't feel like it. So, we got that this time. Alright, and now we got down here. Now here's my question. How would I have gotten here and gotten that? Because I can't come back after I've used that. Is there a way to get through there only using one charge of the silver P-switch? There must be, otherwise this puzzle doesn't work. I have to have fire for the next section. Good, just trying to wake up? Oh, fair. In fact, I'm fairly certain the thing it told me at the beginning was any pipes marked with X's you can't go back from. And these are clearly ice blocks, so I definitely need to do that. So let's die and rethink my my answer to this puzzle. Okay, so for starters, I can always get this. There is no universe where getting that is a bad move, I don't think, because this P-switch disappears the moment I go through this gate. I'm pretty sure that when it comes down to it, I cannot abuse... Oh, nope. Oh! I see it. Okay, that's tricky. Okay, I see it. The key thing here is actually we don't care about getting the bounce. We don't need the bounce. We have fuzzies. Fuzzies will help us ascend. Crap. Well, the timing on that wasn't ideal, I will admit. Yeah, okay, I gotta wait. We have to try that again. But I have a plan, which I believe works. Provided this fuzzy over here comes back out and stops being confused. And of course, there is still the problem of the other fuzzy might interfere with my brilliant plan, because they're both on the same cycle. Let's see if I can reset them. I'm not altogether convinced this is going to work now. Okay, at least I got one of them on a different cycle now. I think this will work. Oh, very clever. Like I said, so far in this hack... Oh, come on. Every puzzle has been reasonably well done, so that you understand what your constraints are. Okay. Okay, we got it. Oh my... Close. Alright. I understand what to do, just have to execute. It's a puzzle. I can do puzzles. I like puzzles. Up. I blew this one first. It's the more important of the two. Then acquire this. And get fuzzy, buddy. And I think this... Oh, no, I'll be fine, actually. The time's going to be a little bit awkward on the way down, but I think I'll be fine. No, I screwed it up. Gotta do this again. We'll just wait for a moment. We're in no big hurry. This will despawn the other one and keep it further away from me. Because this is the one I care about. Maybe this will despawn the other one and keep it further away from me for the right times. Beautiful. I even got all the coinage. Patience. We don't need to rush. Except right there. We need to rush right there. Alright, now we're in fired. First step. Actually, how do I get up there? I didn't consider that part of this puzzle. I don't think the ninjas are going to be helpful, but I do think P-Speed will be. Just need to P-Speed clever. Actually, no, we're in another conundrum, because I need to get up there with a shell, and it's just... Oh, I need... Chuck. Chuck is the answer. Okay, we can always respawn Chuck. Just need to make sure not to murder him on accident. And also not to destroy that shell, because with Fire Flower, it's really easy to do that kind of thing. Okay. Open the way up for Chuck. Now let's respawn him, because I don't want to have too many hits on him. Because actually, I don't need this anymore. I need the shell now, which, being Fire Flowery, is harder, so we're going to take a hit to make sure I don't do anything stupid with that. And we're going to respawn the Chuck again, because I just jumped on him twice. There we go. Put the shell up there. Convince Charlie to come visit me. Charlie, you see me? Oh, that's less than ideal. Charlie, cooperate. Okay. And bam. Boom. Done. And we out of there. Alright, what do we got left? Blocktown, USA, built by Mankey Corp. This bodes poorly. Okay, this isn't immediately exposing the gimmick I expected. Thank you for the GG on the moon. How you doing, Frag and Crack? Oh, man. I was so worried when I saw the word Mankey that there was going to be the... Never mind, everything's terrible. I know exactly how this level is going to work now, and I will be unhappy for the duration. Blocktown, USA is such a Raucow name. Here's the thing. When I saw the word Mankey Corp, my first thought immediately went to the Mankey Bridge level from Jump. And Mankey Bridge was one of my least favorite things in the OG Jump. Like, I think I actually rage quit that level a couple times. Now, it's probably a lot easier than I think it is, and I've probably gotten a lot better in the meantime. But as an introduction to the person who is named Morsel, it was definitely a cruel moment. So the gimmick here is when you're holding a block, you jump higher. That's it. Straightforward, simple. Oh, so simple. If only. If only. Block. Right. The Giga Block is actually pretty good. But yeah, this is definitely a tribute to that level from Jump. There's no question in my mind between the gimmick and the name that this is a tribute to Mankey Bridge. Bright side, no dragon coins. I need to be way more careful with that jump. Just a spin jump too, it's not actually hard. Boink. As we all know, scientific progress goes boink. Okay. See? Oh my. E. Oh. Oh, I didn't see that red block at all. I thought that was part of the background. I thought I needed to spin jump on this thing because I just did not see another option. But no, it's just there's a red block there and it's completely fucking invisible against the background for me. At some point, I need to go back and beat jump properly, because me and Snyder left off at a certain point. Close to the end of the game, but not entirely at the end of the game. It'd be worth it for me to, you know, finish it as a bookend to some extent. This level's so far a little bit kinder than Mankey Bridge, though. Like, I'm given a little more latitude to work. There's less... Never mind. Yeah, there's a lot of good levels. It's a really good hack. One of my personal favorites I later found out was by Daizo, was the time travel one. That level is just a lot of fun. Basically, every time we played Jump, I would always try to beat that level one-handed as the last thing before Snyder left. And every once in a while, I'd succeed. Every once in a while, but only every once in a while. So, the more you know. It was a different time. Okay, there's an X on it. That means I could not have taken a block if I wanted. I'm just gonna mark her down. That red block actually bugs me. Like, it's effectively invisible. Don't care. Probably should have... I definitely needed to care. Yeah, if it was any other color, it'd be fine. But because it's red on that one line, too, that one block line, it's impossible to see. Like, moderation notes are also just the kinds of notes I would give people if I was testing. So it's not like I'm gonna say, no, you can't submit this hack until you fix this one red block. It's very much in the event that I reject it, I just like to give people the full set of notes. So we will see, though. Considering my current rate on beating levels tonight, I'm not entirely certain I'm going to be able to do this one. God, I keep doing bad things. I'm doing everything in the wrong order. I'm trying to figure out how tired I'm feeling, which I probably shouldn't be given when I woke up, but it is what it is. I have got to fix my sleep schedule. It is in such the trash can. I don't know why, but I like that little obstacle there. The two flamey dudes doing their thing. Something about it works for me. Different rates of movement. And of course, this was just a moron check right there. Alright. Again. That again. Realize I fucked up. Actually, I don't even care because I want to hit the retry pipe. As much as I'd love that, retry pipe is more important for moderation purposes. Okay, cool. Retry pipe works. I'm glad I did that. Crap. Thanks for the good luck, Louie. How you doing? I had a question for you. I asked Hawalut the same thing, but I know you were also a tester. In the Bowser Castle at sort of the end of World 4, There was mention of some green doors, and I cannot get them for the life of me to spawn. I was wondering if you saw them during your testing. The green door is supposed to take you between the various areas of the lengthy 10-room castle, so you could choose which set of rooms you want to do, like 1 through 3, 4 through 6, or more through 7 through 10. That's been like the only major issue I've found. I'm not certain if it's my tech that's doing it, or if something else is broken, possibly SA1 compatibility. But there were pink doors earlier in a different level that served the exact same purpose, and I'm not sure why they wouldn't just work, since the pink doors worked. So I might do some more investigating. I just haven't made a decision about that yet. I'll retry. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm just curious if they show up for you on your save file. Because they should. You beat the level, I assume, if you tested it. Ah. So my current plan is, in the event that I can't figure out whose fault it is, I will just move Mario on the world map to that particular entrance. And then proceed to beat it in both, like, I don't know, SNES 9X and MESN. And figure out what's going on. Because that's the only thing I've found so far that seems wrong, and I just don't know whose fault it is, mine or his. And I do not want to bug him if it's totally my fault, so. Yeah, this hasn't been bad so far. Mankey Bridge definitely made me a lot more worried just by the name. The reputation, the Morsel reputation. It's one of those things that precedes this bridge, or this construction area. So, either way, I'll get to the bottom of it before I'm done moderating. Just wanted to pull some people who might have known, might have seen things. Don't break, don't break. Okay, cool. Block didn't break. Fuck. Just because the block doesn't break. Post-clear room with the pedal tower, there's a 1-up checkpoint, which worked fine. You mentioned to him they can be broken if you hit 3 then 2, resets the sequence. You might have remade it with ASM, not 100%. Okay. That makes sense. I looked briefly in Lunar Magic, and I think I must have just managed to avoid the 1-up checkpoint. Maybe. I had that happen once when I was testing something with Daizos, where I managed to creatively avoid the complete 1-up checkpoint, but I'll take another look then. Because presumably the thing worked the same as the pink doors, right? No reason to change a good thing, but if you recreate with ASM, there's a small possibility that it didn't end up working because of the SA1, because of some sort of SA1 incompatibility. Small chance. So I will double check that. I'm going to put a marker down so I can remember to read your note about the implementation thereof. I should just throw the brick through there. That's what I should do. Oh, you brick! Yes, it worked the same. It was fine when you played, but your version is slightly older than release against certain. Okay. Okay, cool. I mean, that's useful information regardless. Just to know that it did at least work at one point in time. So I will check again. And probably look in Lunar Magic to see if I just managed to skirt the checkpoints somehow. Like I said, that's the only thing I've found of interest. I'm pretty sure the only thing I found of interest so far. I've got like a bunch of other markers from last time. But they were mostly of the variety, oh, I should check this after the fact. And one of the things to check is all of the doors in the math castle, or the math ghost house. And I realized that it could, in fact, you could, in fact, get to all of the different numbers. And there's a lot of them. Which I think I might do one at a time. Like, while waiting for something to compile. Because I don't really want to do it online on stream because it's tedious and boring. There we go. Midway! The good thing about these kinds of hacks is you really don't lose any momentum by dying at midways. Unlike other types of hacks, where dying at midways actually sucks because you lose your power-ups and things, but here, no. Already planning some small changes, so worst comes to worst, you can add a list of fixes. Okay. Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to complain too much about having to play this. I mean, having to play this as moderating goes. Like, this is a fun hack. There are some hacks I'm not happy to see in the queue multiple times, but I don't think this would be one of them. I understand now. I cannot believe it took me that long to... Oh, wait. Up throw? Yeah, that's what it wants, an up throw. I bonk it. Either way, this is not the actual puzzle obstacle, but like a show and tell obstacle, because apparently I'm willing to bet I have to do this another time in a more complicated, confounding, puzzly manner. Okay, I think I jumped last time, and I think that made the difference. You know, I need to be both jumping and moving forward, otherwise this doesn't work. Brilliant. Oh yeah, also, how's Tired Mario treating you? Caught a little bit of that last time, but it was pretty late at night. Beat it? Oh, nice. Final boss was awesome. Very good. Retry pipe. Does in fact retry. Oh. This is where I spawn blocks. Well, to the retry pipe with me. Hack actually had a plot, as subtly as is told. Oh, interesting. That's not what I would have expected. Oh, that was on my part. I'm trying to think. That was Wyatt, right? I don't think... Did Cassio have a plot? Given that, you know, whenever I watch someone play it, I only ever saw little bits and pieces here and there, and never the whole thing. It wouldn't surprise me if the answer is yes. No Bowyer from SMRPG, but he's the primary villain. If you call that boss fight, you can connect the dots. I do know Bowyer. I know Bowyer very well. He disables your buttons. Because 3 on 1, that's not fair. That button locked, etc. Odd Bowyer of all critters. Still kind of cool though. SMRPG had so many interesting enemies. And so many of them made almost no sense. Like, the weapon bosses kind of fit a theme, but then you get other things like Puncello, who's just weird for weird's sake, I think. I think there's a way he makes sense, but I couldn't tell you what it is. Oh, come on! Alright, well, let's at least... There's no point in scouting ahead. Like, quite literally, you have to respawn. Yeah, I've worked on SMRPG stuff. I know a thing or two. At some point in the near future, I need to sit down and... I'm so bad at this part. Put in some work. I had an idea for something I wanted to do for the big release that will eventually happen. It's been like 2 years, or possibly 3 years in the making, that Pidge has been working on. I had a specific goal in mind for it, but we'll see. Discount Bomberman? Yep. I also just like Mario RPG. I've beaten it a number of times, even without randomization. It's just a really good game. I don't suffer for the aesthetic. There's something about the SGI workstation pre-rendered stuff that just appeals to me. Maybe just when I grew up, but I do love a good pre-rendered background and sprites and things like that. And I still wonder if it is the tooling that makes it really have that aesthetic. Like, because they had unique tooling for SGI. SGI had a lot of weird stuff going on. Not to mention some of the other tooling. Apparently the Symbolics made some of the video editing software that was used in those games, or image editing software as well. I actually found a, like, roll of some of the stuff made with the Symbolics video editor, whose name I forget. Some of it actually looked really good. Like, surprisingly good. Alright, guess we're going right. Oh good, the reset pipe doesn't take me back to the beginning. Hooray! Okay. What do I want here? I burned through too many things. Ah, no. Did I end up with within 5 to start with? Just looked at Yogi's, Yogui's changelog. He replaced the one I've seen with a single custom block that sets the same flag. Oh, interesting. Okay, that might explain things then. That, I think, actually might explain a decent amount. That was a dumb way to fail it. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the best way to figure that out then. Because that's an easy place to make that kind of mistake. Let's just reset now. Especially, like, lacking familiarity with SA1. There we go. Into the reset pipe with me. I bet I have to do the same puzzle again. I do. Curse my obsession with retry pipes. Ah, such a dumb way to fail this puzzle. Alright, so yeah, that's something I gotta go look at. I presume he didn't do the same with the one in the Sakura Palace then, or whatever that particular level's called. Because that one works. Or it did work. I guess I needed to reset either way. Don't know what was expected. Wait, what? Okay. I explicitly need 3 blocks. So... okay, that didn't work. Maybe I don't want to throw a block at this critter to get him to kick it. Maybe what I want to do is just land on him. Like, really carefully land on him. Nope. This is gonna take some thinking. Alright, so that was how you do it, I guess. That's a way you can do it, and that's the way I did it, so I guess it works. Alright, no, it didn't work because I forgot to proc it. You assume he did the same for both? Told him in both cases someone weird could wiggle in an opportune spot and miss the trigger? It's possible. Personal solution would be to put vanilla triggers in different rooms so the final room only has 0.3 of 4. That's also fair. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look. I'm curious. How you doing, Danik? Yeah, it's not a puzzle hack. This level just happens to be puzzly. It's part of a really good hack. Truc Bidule, which I think means thing. Somehow. Would recommend if you're into standard hacks that have a lot of gimmicks. Like 1 gimmick or 2 gimmicks per level. In retrospect, I should have seen that coming. Yeah, now I actually kind of wonder what Daizo ended up doing to fix that issue when I ran into it in SMW challenges. Puzzle's irritatingly finicky at times. But... no, that's not what you do at all, Pat. You just duck jump through this. You had a solution that works. You don't need to be messing with it. Okay, you had a solution that kind of works sometime. It's okay not to mess with it. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, proc a block. Grab it. Be dumb about it. Fail it entirely. Now, it's useful to actually go through the reset, because otherwise I'd have to go all the way to the respawn point. And this is just slightly faster. Slightly. It is kind of interesting to me that he put the respawn so far away. I wonder if it has something to do with making sure this Koopa spawns right. Slid right on past. It's amazing what an innovation the 1-up door was, and how finicky it can still be. There we go. Pop. Third checkpoint. Into the drink with me. But still, third checkpoint. Can't complain. Alright. Oh my. I see. I'm thinking here. I'm thinking here. Okay, I think I have to ditch that block, is what the game's actually telling me to do. Need to ditch the block before I end up here. But not entirely sure yet. Oh, I like that amount. Reminds me I probably should go and get, you know, another remote made. At some point in the future. Is that gonna respawn? Nope, I can just keep doing this forever. I'm just gonna relax for a sec. Oh, that didn't quite work the way I hoped it would. But it worked well enough. Wait. Did I see something interesting? I'm probably gonna fail this next part anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, you need all three here. Otherwise you have to reset, which, whatever, have to reset. No, I think I missed something over there. I'm still looking for the moon. I haven't found the moon yet, so I need to be careful about where I go and what I look for. I just know at some point the moon is going to be hidden in a reset pipe. Because Yogui is just a crafty devil like that. You'll never expect, you never see it coming, you know, until you do. Pop. Okay. Well, can I at least see the thing I was trying to see? No. Probably should have just, like, looked it up in the VOD in retrospect. Oh, well. Up. Cycle. Oh. Okay. Do I need 3? I don't know if I need 3. Let's rearrange ourselves a little bit here. Also, I probably should have learned this from earlier, that you can just hold Y and press the button and actually spawn these. For some reason, I thought you could, whenever you spawned one of these blocks, it would not spawn inside your hands. It would instead spawn, like, adjacent and kickable, such that you were more likely to kick it. But nope, it just spawns in your hands. It's so much simpler. So much simpler. Which also reminds me, Chuck. Actually remember to solve the puzzle. I like this jump when I'm not messing it up. I see the thing I'm interested in. Okay, yeah, there's just a spot down here in case you fuck it up. So there's not actually a secret. Man. Generator and jump was a bit awkward, and that could happen, but it's been improved. Ah, fair enough. Was there a generator like this in jump? It's been too long since I've played. I don't remember every level gimmick. I just remember they were the static generators in Mankey Bridge. And our introduction to this particular power-up was in a water level, and so my assumptions about how things work were definitely a little warped because of that. Shouldering on? Oh, thank you. Guess I shouldn't have been surprised that was also Morsel. And, of course, can't make it. It does sound familiar, it has been far too long, and definitely did not leave quite as much of an impression as Mankey Bridge did. Few things in my life, SMW-wise, have left as much of an impression as Mankey Bridge did. Hit the wrong one. Level has some water, actually. Also, as a boss, you throw blocks at Reznors on the other side of a wall. That I remember. I remember that boss. I wasn't shouldering on? Huh. That boss took me and Snyder a solid bit, and I just messed up. I just messed up twice. Like, it's definitely not a easy or intuitive level, from what I remember. Not the worst, but certainly not, you know, a walk in the park. Drop that. Drop that. Chill here. Fall through exactly the middle of those 2 blocks. It's impressive, actually. Yeah, I remember there being like some auto-scrolling nonsense that happens right near the end of that before the Reznors. I remember being rather incredulous that after all this nonsense, we now get to fight Reznors. Oh, but that feels so long ago now. Probably because it was. Probably because it was. Chill. Grab that. Wait. I don't need to hurry this part. And that's the intended solution. Bam. Done. Well, I'm glad I got the third block twice. A thought occurs. Oh, I understand how that prevents it. But couldn't I just do this? Like, that definitely felt like the right way to solve that problem. Comparatively. Yeah, I guess I did find a little bit of cheese. It should probably depower you up as well to make sure that that doesn't work. I guess. Only thought I had was in the event that this spot had some sort of gimmick going on. But no. Well. It's a long way to the top. If you're a Yoshi. Same midway? Same midway. I think this is the final level in this particular world, so it's not surprising that it's a bit longer. At least I found some useful cheese. Oh. No, this isn't fine. It's like, oh, this is fine. I have 3 blocks. I can totally pull this off. And I probably can pull it off with 3 blocks, but not if I don't do that first. Also, I still have not seen any spot that screams to me moon hiding spot. Oh, crap. I did that early. Maybe we'll see if we can recover from this nonsense. Also, that would be a lot easier of a trick to do. Yeah, that works. Oh, for Pete's sake. That doesn't matter. Reset door here is really convenient. Like, clearly this is not all that important. Otherwise, there would be more proper anti-cheesing. It is still an interesting interaction, these two things. The spring does not like the block, and vice versa. Okay, now for the actual ascent. Fun! Well, I could sneak a block in that way, couldn't I? That'd be a block that lives forever. Okay. There's value in that to me. I think. No. Oh, it doesn't live forever. Oh, whatever. I still snuck in a block. I have one... Well, I had one more block than I was supposed to have. I don't think it matters. It does not matter. God, that... What am I supposed to do there? Okay. Stop, collaborate, listen. Ice is back with a brand new invention. Or just think. I think I want to jump through the middle of that at some point, maybe. I'm not altogether convinced about this particular trick. Also should have waited just a little bit, but I think I'll be fine. Just gonna wait a sec, because I screwed up that jump. Incredibly easy jump. Oh, you just gotta wait a cycle. Okay, test the reset pipe. Reset pipe continues to work conveniently. No biggie. No biggie at all. Wait. Oh, that was dumb. I think the key thing there is to wait 2 cycles of the gray block, and that becomes free. Not gonna say that's actually the case, but I'm gonna think that's actually the case. Definitely not the case. It might depend upon when you get to that spot. God, I wish I could get this beginning down so I don't have to wait a whole cycle of that particular bit. Or maybe that's just completely free and I'm a moron. Shoot. Yeah, I think it's just completely free. Like, as long as you're ducking, it can't hit you. Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm totally going to keep up with that particular strat. I think what I'm supposed to do there is spin jump onto the... spin jump onto the other... onto the dang thing that drops. Words. Spikes. Onto the spike. I want to stand up there, though. Shoot. I'm trying to think of how I'm supposed to pull that off. Just looking at that sunrise and thinking, up. In the words of Joey Wheeler, the sun will be rising soon. Maybe it was Tristan who said that. Ah, that was what I was missing. I can actually spawn them in my hands while spinning. The droppy thing. It's technically correct. The best kind of correct. But yeah, if I can spawn those things in my hand while I'm spinning, that solves some of my problems depending upon, like, what my economy of blocks looks like. Yeah. Alright, if I can get through here with this block. Nope. Thought I might have a chance at recycling. Buffy speak? I do not know about Buffy speak. I've never actually watched any Buffy the Vampire Slayer, except, like, I think I caught a wee bit of it at the gym once. Like, a million years ago. I'm surprised I caught that platform. No, I need to be spinning before I jump. Or I need to be jumping before... I need to be spinning before I made that happen. Definitely appreciate the fact that there are reset pipes here, though. What? Okay. Actually... Nope, that's all terrible. Never mind. The droppy thing with the point. Buffy for the spike. Oh. The droppy thing with the point. Like, wouldn't that be a stake? Like, I feel like that would be the more relevant thing for Buffy to be discussing, would be a stake. Because, you know, vampires and their whole wooden weakness. I flubbed that, too. Did watch a little bit when I was visiting my sister, the vampire comedy What We Do in the Shadows. The very beginning of it. That was enjoyable. It's a very silly concept. I saw the initial, like, mockumentary movie a long time ago, and apparently they're vaguely related, though not, like, all exactly related. Conceptually related, but not plot related. Okay, I need to drop that. Okay, so I need to do this, and then this, and that works. That was my solution. It worked well enough. There's the moon. Alright, well, I understand what I need to do now. And it does inform my block economy. I need 3 blocks when I get up there. I might need more than 3 blocks. Shoot. Okay. We're doing this. We're trying to cheese this, so I can have 1 fewer blocks for my block economy. No. Okay, that didn't work. Yeah, I need one that's... I need to have one that lasts longer than that. That was dumb on my part. Gotta think. I knew at some point I was gonna eat a... No! Oh, I could have saved that. Alright, how am I gonna do that? It's been long enough since I did this part that I kind of forgot about it. Well, ow. No, I could have solved that. I just needed to be smarter. I only need 2 blocks to get to that part. At most. That was way too early on that one, but fine. I don't need another one. Well, apparently I've lost all control over how to do this part. All feeling for it. It's a long ascent, too. This level's ridiculously long. Up. Stick with the plan. There we go. We're in reset territory. At least we should do that puzzle legit once. Once. Never more than once. Okay. Let's see about trying to cheese this again. Okay, that gives me my extra block. Oh, nuts. Nuts. Okay, well. We have approximately as many blocks as we had before. And a complete inability to use them. I meant to fall off. What's up, Nick Dallas? How you doing? It's not actually Yoshi themed. We just put Yoshi into the game for a bit of fun. It's actually a channel point reward thing. Anyone can change the character sprite on the fly. This particular hack is just really clever. It's a lot of interesting gimmicky levels with puzzles and stuff. This level is, of course, a tribute to a couple of Morsel levels from Jump. Mankey Bridge, so whenever I'm holding a block, I jump super high! As well as another level that Louis told me when it was shouldering on, where you can spawn blocks by pressing buttons, by pressing the shoulder buttons. It's actually just kind of a nice coincidence that it turns Yoshi blue. So, doing pretty decent. Nice. And I am doing dumb. Yeah, this part is irritating because I've beaten this part before, and then there's a long vertical part where there's an awful lot of ways to screw up. And I'm trying to get the moon, which is near the top of the vertical part. Each level, of course, has a moon, because that's another gimmick that's fun to have in hacks, is having collectible bonuses. So, square up. I'm also cheesing this part a bit. I'm not supposed to have 2 remaining throw blocks there, but you know what? Oh, I screwed that up. I have cheese for that in case I don't feel like actually doing it, but still. Which I really should probably do, given that I messed it up twice. Rice. There we go. At least we didn't mess it up 4 times. That would have been embarrassing. Alright, now we're back to the high vertical section, which has some attributes I don't think I fully understand yet, around how many blocks I should be spending where. So I definitely need a block here. I can spin jump high enough for this. Oh, for Pete's sake, I screwed that up again. Screwed up twice. Nah, it doesn't matter. Once I'm already down here, I'm down here. Alright, so what am I doing? What is my goal here? Like, I think I could get into that area if I was duck jumping and lucky, because the block height, I think there were 2 blocks, but they were like not contiguously in the way, just there such that I could actually jump on them. I didn't think I'd make the jump. No. I just want the retry pipe. Give me the retry pipe. It's my favorite type of pipe. Drain pipe's pretty high up there, though. Okay, just duck. I still do not have mastery of that part yet. Which makes my whole moon quest even more dubious, because I just do not have mastery of getting up to where I need to be yet. I've only ever seen the moon spot once. This might be south. Nope. I need to spawn a block in my hand after I spin jump on the spike. That's how this has to work. That's how my current plan works. There's no way around that for me. If I spawn it before, it doesn't work. If I spawn it after, it doesn't work. I have to spawn it during the jump. Well, that was better than last time. We saw it. I think it is possible, because I can duck jump with this. I don't need to be small. So I think there's a possibility of doing it with the block economy that I've currently set up. I don't know if it's going to let me beat the rest of the level, but I think it'll let me beat this part of the level and get the moon, which is the most important part to me. Which... what? You know what? I may have been making this more complicated than I needed it to be. Maybe. Maybe I've been making it more complicated than it needs to be. Because initially I thought I couldn't proc the spike until I was over on the second platform, but maybe I can proc it early? Alright, well, the answer is yes, I can, but it doesn't seem to help me. At least not in terms of being smart here. Way too early on that. That was a bad mistake. Actually, I guess it probably doesn't matter given the way I do this part. It mattered. Yeah, but I'm curious what's after. Like, there's probably another fucking boom boom fight at the top of this, I think. Like, usually the ultimate level in any given world, it tends to be pretty big, as opposed to small. Oh, nuts. Oh no, I do need all the blocks. Alright, so I could beat this level without that, but I need to have at least 2 blocks when I get up there. Oh my god, okay. I don't think I understand how to do this properly. I think I've been doing this wrong, is what I'm learning right now. So even with my cheese block, I still need at least 3 blocks to get through there. Like, the cheese block might solve my problem, but it's still cheesy. Just not dangerously so. I might have to stop and think. Okay, so we do a double bounce there. We can re-grab that at least. That's an option. Like, I see a possibility here. Well, not that way. I'm taking way too long. I have to make this slightly faster. Like, the cheese block affords some level of possibility here. But I still have to pull off an awful lot of things correctly in a row. Well, definitely not then. I think it's safe to fall this way. I might have to come back to this. Because I'm not coming up with any really creative solution. Like that part with the spinning, you have to re-grab the block. Which is tricky. On the ascent. So either my block economy... 1, 2... Yeah, I need at least 3 when I get up there. Like, that's all I can see. The block economy for beating the level is actually a lot more lenient than what I would expect. But, like, I feel like this is a waste of a block. I panicked. Like, I don't think I've even broken one of those blocks yet. I don't know why I did that. I didn't even bring in a block with me. Like, I'm still wondering if the block, the cheese block I was thinking about, does solve the problem. And if that's actually what we're supposed to do, like some bit of non-linear thinking. Because at least it would spare me that block. But I think I could beat the level now if I wanted to, which is helpful. Still didn't do that, right? But good practice. But we'll see. I feel the tired growing upon me. And tomorrow is going to suck. I need to fix my sleep schedule, and tomorrow is just probably the day I'm gonna do it. I have to do it sometime, and tomorrow's about as good of a day as any. Alright, well, let's see the rest of the level. I can always come back here. It's time. It's time to admit defeat on this moon. We'll do that moon later. Might have been the hardest moon for you. Oh my. If that's the hardest moon for you, that's saying something. Oh man. But yeah, we'll have to come back to that one. That's the best I can think of right now. Because it is getting late. Oh, I didn't test the midway anyway. Imagine having a sleep schedule. I need to do it sometime. I cannot sustain this. Honestly, the sleep schedule I have right now is not sustainable remotely in the long term if I want to live a normal life. If I was like a bartender, it'd probably be fine, but I'm not. I'm an office worker, technically speaking. So, we'll have to think of something more clever to do to get that moon next time. I did like my cheese block strategy. I think that eases some of the problems, but don't think that was the hardest moon for you. Interesting. It's 1:50 p.m. Ah, yes. I assume you're over in the European time zones. I'm on the west coast of the United States. It is just a bit shy of 5 a.m. right now. There we go. It's May? It's not May yet. Oh, it may. Alright. I'll put a note to myself from Europe. Alright, let's take a peek at this next level, and then we'll find someone to raid. Ooh, I like the whale. It's a nice whale. Icy Starry Sea, where stars bathes. I like the transparency. It's current. It's got current events. And rotating starfish. In fact, I'm pretty sure those stars are the bonus stars, aren't they? Warning. Bigger stars. Oh. Anyway. Including Moon 34. If so, you guess that one's a bit different. The final one. Oh yeah, how far in am I? 32. There's only... Interesting. If there's only 34 moons, I've gotten almost all of them. Which means I have probably close to 30s. No, I wouldn't, because there's multiple exits, right? Double exits. I have no idea how many moons I have. Alright. Yeah, I caught that thought quick. Not quick enough. It's level 43, you don't actually have it? Oh my. Yeah, like, worst comes to worst, if I don't think I can physically do it, I'll use some moderation tricks to get that moon, but I don't want to commit to that yet, either way. Alright, let's see who's playing video games.